How about you?
Good, doing great. In Cassandra, we're all up and running. Okay, great. Well, it's 10 o'clock here on Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. I'd like to call this special meeting to order of the Board of Supervisors, and I've asked Homero if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, I trust everyone had a good weekend. Memorial Day, a lot of celebrations yesterday. And so let's get started. We got a pretty full agenda, I think, today. So we'll start off with our regular agenda items. Item number 2A, information, discussion, action to approve the economic development grants by entering into various intergovernmental agreements with the following entities to jointly cooperate in Gila County's 2024 Summer Work Employment Program, City of Globe, 22,378, Town of Miami, 22,378, Town of Winkleman, 22,378, Town of Hayden, 22,378, Town of Payson, 14,909, Young Public School, 14,909, Hayden, Winkleman, USD, 33,561, Town of Superior, 22,378, Town of Kearney, same amount, 22,378, and the Arizona Conservation Legacy, 82,400, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. And good morning, Kathy. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. Let us know what we're doing.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey, we've talked about this a little bit prior to this meeting. This was a chance opportunity that Supervisor Klein and I ran into, I think back in February, over at the Town of Superior. And at that time, it was a governor's roundtable breakfast, and she asked for some updates. And so Supervisor Klein talked about the summer work program because we were just starting into the discussions, the planning part of that. And they asked us afterwards to contact them. They wanted to talk to us about a couple of things. So they wanted to talk about our summer work program. So one thing led to another. They asked us to put together the costs for the program. So we put it together, kind of put our wish list together. Mr. Menlove and I came up with some figures. So we put our wish list together about what we would like to do should some money come available. So hopefully I know how to work this thing. Which way do I go? The right? Okay, there we go. So here's what we came up with. We put all of the costs together to fund all of the Gila County communities, which in the past we've funded Town of Payson, Globe, Miami, Hayden, Winkleman, and the Town of Payson. And we've always done the two school districts, well, not always, but in the last couple of years, two school districts, the one in Young and the one in Hayden, Winkleman, because they're kind of our outlying districts and areas where there's not much employment opportunity for kids. And then the Conservation Corps, we funded the Conservation Corps twice. Our very first Conservation Corps was in Payson area a couple years ago, actually during COVID. And then last year we funded one, the county did, in southern Gila County. So we decided to put two crews in there. We've always thought it'd be great to have two crews, one in the north and one in the south. So this gave us the opportunity to at least ask for the money if we could get it. And then 12 Copper Corridor youth positions. District 3, Supervisor Klein's district, butts right up against Pinell County. So we have kids from like Dudleyville and Town of Kearney last year, probably like 10 kids from the Town of Kearney apply. And our job posting does not say it's for Gila County residents only. It just says Gila County Summer Work Program. So in the past, we've hired a few out of that area, but we determined after last year that we probably needed more money if we wanted to do that. So we've been working with Pinell County trying to talk to them about how we could join forces and have them kind of go with us and be able to fund. And that Jeremy Flowers was on a call with us, I think last week? No, 2 weeks ago, to try and talk about how we can get that done between the two areas. So in there, we included 12 extra kids that we could fund through this in our proposal to them. The funding was the result of unspent workforce dollars at the state level. So it was money that was going to time out, and it was going to have to go back to the feds by June 30. So nobody wants that to happen. So we put together, like I said, pretty good package and sent it off to them. The part of this is like my saying when I used to do grants for a living, was good news you got the grant, bad news you got the grant, because this one had some heavy strings attached. The funds had to be obligated by May 30th, and they have to be spent by June 30th. So that means everybody had to be on board to say yes, they were going to cooperate in the agreement, they wanted to be a part of it, and that they had to get their IGAs back to us before June 30 so they could be approved, and that's what we're doing today. Then they have to be spent by June 30th, so that means the finance department has to hurry up and get all of those IGAs, the request done, and sent out by June 30th. So we will be able to get that done. The final report is due July 30th. So that's telling them basically what they want to know is what did you do, how many kids did you put to work, any outstanding projects, how were you able to get all of that accomplished. So here's how it comes out, matching up with the funding, Globe, all of those areas there, it gives you the total of what the 5 communities asked for. We're able to give a little bit more. Globe, Miami, Hayden, Winkleman, Payson, all came back, and it's a total of 28 positions. Hayden and Winkleman, Hayden-Winkleman Unified School District's pretty big area there. They have quite a few buildings, quite a bit that they cover. They asked for 9, and that's both maintenance and in-office positions, including IT. And then Young Public School, we were able to get 4, and that came right down to the wire, like on the very last day, getting enough kids in Young. Well, and in Payson as well. It's just hard in those 2 areas for whatever reason. But anyway, we got that many. So we asked for the 12 positions for Pinell County, and it kind of focuses on the Copper Corridor area. So for people that don't understand what the Copper Corridor, where that is, it actually starts in Globe. So it goes Globe, Miami, Superior, Kearney, Hayden, and Winkleman. I was able to get 6 from the town of Kearney. They've never done a program like this, so they totally did not understand. So it started from the very beginning. How does this work? How do we do the kids? You know, all this. So we did their recruitment for the town of Kearney through our HR department. The town of Superior did their own recruitment. They did their own, they went out and they got them, they did their own job descriptions. So anyway, they will put 6 to work, and I think they start this week, giving us the total of 12 that we asked for from the state. Here's our Gila County department. So all of the county departments, typically those are paid for out of general funds. All of those positions will be now paid for this summer through this project as well. And the total amount of the funding, as I said, is, or it's in here, is a little over $306,140. Being able to fund the 2 youth conservation corps, those are both going to happen also because of a $60,000 grant from the Forest Service. So we will have a crew in Payson, we will have one in Globe, the Globe area. They start, I believe, I think they start next Monday, just like we do. Or they might have their orientation this week. Anyway, so that, with the money that we got through this funding and a $60,000 grant from the Forest Service, we'll have 2 crews that will work both north and south this year, which is the first time we've had 2 crews at one time. And we couldn't have without this money. I think that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Kathy. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions other than just a lot of thanks, because I can remember many years ago when we started this, there were very few kids working, and you guys just kind of grabbed a hold of it and ran with it. And it's great to see these youth getting positions in areas that they're interested in. So thank you very much, and we've been supportive of it for a long time, and so thanks for all your work to keep this rolling and going, and then funds start coming. So it's great to plant a seed and see what happens.
We're hoping it's not the only year.
Yeah.
We're crossing our fingers.
Yeah, so it's been great. Thank you very much.
I want to thank the finance department, Mr. Menlo, for helping me up front, because it took a little bit to, I just wasn't sure. We hadn't done it this way before, and I just do the same thing, and I sometimes not very creative. But they were creative and willing to help out, so
Well,
that makes a big difference too.
Supervisor Klein.
Kathy, on that lower corner of Winkleman down there, how many total applicants you end up with out of there?
This year,
Yeah.
well, Erica and Larissa are there today doing interviews. I want to say there were 40-plus kids down there with 6, 9, 15, 21 positions available and 40-some, well, 27 positions, so with between Kearney, Hayden, Winkleman, and the school. So there'll be like, 15 to 20 kids that won't get jobs.
See, those numbers are real important to me, and especially it always is in that corner because there's not a lot of opportunities for those folks down there. I mean, they don't have the fast food business and different businesses down there, and because we are limited to working with basically other governmental entities, it makes it kind of a challenge there to have enough physicians to get those kids in. With any hope, one of these days maybe we can branch out from the governmental entities to private enterprise, but right now that hasn't been the case. But with youth workforce folks sitting here, why maybe we can work on that. And so I wanted her to talk about those numbers so you could hear that. And the fact is that they just don't have anything down there to speak of for opportunities. And really this year with the state's involvement, it opened up some more doors for us to cross that highway. Whereas before we just never asked any questions what side of the road they were on. We just went with it. But this year was a big plus. So anyway, Kathy, thanks for all the hard work. Appreciate it.
And I will say too, because I know there's been some question about outreach, we never do outreach in Hayden and Winkleman. We never do anything extra to put the word out from the very first time. I don't know if it's like town staff in Hayden and Winkleman or what happens, but we never do outreach down there. We don't do outreach here. I mean, it comes up on our website, people know that it's happening, and so the kids apply. But up in Payson, we have really beat the bushes this year, so we were able to get, I think, 6 or 8 applicants, which is gonna help fill positions up there. The town will get the 4 that they asked for. So it just makes, I don't know if the kids in these areas just get used to the positions and that's why they apply. Payson does have every fast food you can think of, I think. So I think that makes a difference too. They work those jobs year round, maybe don't want to give them up in the summer, to come work for the county for 6 weeks. I don't know if that's the case or not. I have no idea.
If I may, Mr. Chair, one thing too is working with the Conservation Corps is a real advantage to these kids because they get to participate in different functions of the government, meaning recreation, fire, range, whatever it is. And so I'm hoping that'll catch on better. It's been really hard to fill in Payson. Payson's been tough to come out with the numbers, and I think that has a lot to do with, like Kathy said, just the amount of jobs already available. But if nothing else, if kids can get used to looking at this Conservation Corps that really want a government job maybe later down the road, this is a really good way to go and get in that door. So.
And the good thing about the working on the YCC crews is they're all members of AmeriCorps, so they get education credits. So if they finish their hours, they get education credits towards that. So it really means a lot of money to the kids that do it. And Payson did get a good crew this year. They got 6. So the crews are made up of 6 workers and then 2 mentors that stay with them the whole time. And Forest Service requires at least 2 mentors to each crew. That kind of set up. And the Forest Service has some really good jobs this year. It's not just going to be trail work and out doing labor and cleanup. It's going to be a lot of different departments from the Forest Service come forward, like the biology. I think one year they did a bee inventory, which I didn't even know you did bee inventories, but they did bee inventory. Botanists come out, hydrologists, archaeologists come out and help out. So they get a really broad range of things in that 6 to 8 weeks that they work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak some more on this?
No.
No. Thank you very much for that. And so with that then, if there's nothing else, I'll just call for a motion on item 2A.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the economic development grant by entering into various intergovernmental agreements with the following entities to jointly cooperate in Gila County's 2024 summer work employment program. City of Globe, $22,378. Town of Miami, $22,378. Town of Winkleman, $22,378. Town of Hayden, $22,378. Town of Payson, $14,919. Young Public School, $14,919. Hayden Winkleman, USD, $33,561. Town of Superior, $22,378. Town of Kearney, $22,378. And Arizona Conservation Legacy, $82,400, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Thank you. Item 2B, information, discussion, action to terminate intergovernmental agreement IGA number 01072022 and approve IGA number 05212024 with the Gila County Provisional Community College District. Thank you, James.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to present a new intergovernmental agreement with the Gila County Provisional Community College District. If I might, with your indulgence, read the recitals that we have for this. It is an indication of what Gila County and the Gila County Board of Supervisors consider support for education and development in Gila County. I'll start with the first whereas is regarding the statutory authority we have. Second is to terminate the prior agreement dated 01/07/2022 and enter into this current one today. Third, whereas the parties have mutual interest in economic development, educational opportunities, and workforce development in Gila County, and whereas Gila County has an interest in providing vocational and skills training, a nursing program, and other educational opportunities that support the residents within Gila County, and whereas ARS 15-1402.01 allows college to seek fully organized and accredited status after satisfying the conditions outlined therein, and whereas the college is engaged in the provision of secondary education services and additionally provides vocational training, retraining, and small business development opportunities for Gila County residents, and whereas the parties have a mutual interest in working towards full accreditation of the Gila County Provisional Community College District to support economic development and workforce development for Gila County residents, and whereas the county's support is warranted in order to move forward with the eligibility process as required for regional accreditation, and whereas the Gila County Board of Supervisors has determined that supporting the college in becoming a fully organized and regionally accredited community college will assist in the creation and retention of jobs in Gila County, will otherwise improve or enhance the economic welfare of the inhabitants of the county. Gets into now, therefore, for and in consideration of the mutual covenants contained herein, the parties agree as follows. The details of the intergovernmental agreement. Just wanted to point out item number 2, that is an addition, other than some other minor wording changes. This was the addition and change from the 2022 IGA. And in item 2, college agrees to present a detailed budget to the county within 60 calendar days of July 1st of each year, for which the agreement is in effect. College agrees to provide the county with the documentation to report how the funds have been utilized. If documentation is not provided to the county, or if the documentation does not demonstrate that all the funds were used to support the above stated purpose, the county will not disperse funds the following fiscal year. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I would like to acknowledge that the Gila County Provisional Community College District Board did adopt and approve this IGA last Wednesday, May 22nd. So they have approved it and ask for your approval today. Available for any questions or comments.
Thank you, James. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, James, thank you very much for bringing this to us today. After comments made in prior meetings, I wasn't sure which direction we were going. So thank you very much for bringing this to us and to have made word changes and stuff that'll make it more professional, and then they will, come to us and do their meetings and let us know. So thank you very much for redoing that. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey.
Supervisor Klein?
James, thanks. This is a good direction, and that spells it out just fine, and I think it's fair across the board, and I'm glad they like it, so. Anyway, I'm good with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, James, for redoing this in such short order. I think it's a better IGA, and I think the message should be sent that I myself, and I believe all of us, are very interested in the success of the provisional college, and that this is part of achieving that success and continuing to fund the process to get where we need to be, because we all believe in the higher education and the development of that program in Gila County. I want to see that grow exponentially. And so I think it's appropriate to ask the questions: where's the money going? How's it being spent? And because we are the stewards of the taxpayers' dollar.
Absolutely agree, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that we always ask ourselves internally where the money's going. Is it going the right place we need to? And externally, always have to ask the question. So
Okay.
thank you.
Right, well, if there's nothing else, I'll ask for a motion on item 2B.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to terminate the intergovernmental agreement, IGA number 01072022, and approve IGA number 05212024 with the Gila County Provisional Community College.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I might point out that there was a big news from the community college district. They announced that the application for accreditation has been accepted by the Oversight Commission. So there is progress being made, and we look forward to partnering with educational opportunities in Gila County going forward. So thank you
Thank you,
very
James.
much for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2C, information discussion regarding an update on the Northern Eastern Arizona Workforce Development Board from NAWDB Executive Director Jeremy Flowers. Good morning.
Good morning, supervisors and Mr. Chair. It's a pleasure to be here. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll back to the beginning of our presentation. Can I, before we start, just get a show of hands from the supervisors and from the audience here? Who in the room is familiar with what a workforce development program is and does generally? We got our board members are aware. Okay, Mr. Menlo, if not, we got a few people in the room, but there's a saying that kind of drives us crazy, that we are the best kept secret in government services, and we are trying to break away from that as much as possible. So I appreciate the chance to present here. A workforce development program essentially it's a network of organizations and services that all have the same purpose, which is connecting job seekers with jobs, right? So there are two sides to that coin. On the one hand, we have job centers throughout the region where people can come and get assistance of different kinds to help make themselves more employable and improve their personal situations. We also work with employers and business owners, and even economic development at the government level to try to create more jobs, help those businesses create more places for those people to work. So we approach that problem from both sides. Arizona at Work is a state workforce development program. There are 12 workforce boards covering the state. Ours serves Gila, Navajo, and Apache counties. And so you can see on the map there, that blue area is all ours. And it's we operate 4 job centers within the region, 2 of them here in Gila County, 2 in Navajo County, and we have a staff member with hoteling spaces that we've arranged throughout Apache County, since there is no DES facility there. We, in the program for the last year, have really been in a stage of rebuilding and reactivating our basic services. I think I have a different perspective and set of priorities than my predecessor, and I think then probably the director before them. I'm coming from a human services background where I am very much focused on this program accomplishing its mission as effectively as possible. And to me, that's what success looks like, is our job seekers and our employer customers getting what they need to out of us, benefiting from our services, and hopefully having a decent experience doing it. And that's really where all of our effort has gone for the last year. So we're going to talk a little bit about the specifics of what's been happening in Gila County, but I would like you to have the chance to hear it from my colleagues here who work in our job center rather than just from me. So I would like to introduce our one-stop operator, Jessica Head, who will come up and tell you about what the job centers in Globe and Basin Meadow.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, board members. My name is Jessica Head, like Jeremy said, and I am the one-stop operator, or OSO, that covers northeastern Arizona. And what that means is I oversee 6 job centers and try to make sure that they function properly, effectively, and seamlessly for our job seekers. 2 of those job centers are in Gila County. We have a comprehensive center in Globe, and then we have an affiliate site in Payson. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on how things are going this year for us. Total placements, as you can see, since January 2024 is 114. So what that means is 114 people have come into our job centers looking for work, looking for training, trying to get to where they can be self-sufficient. And those 114 people were successful in doing so with our help. Out of those 114 people, they make an average hourly rate of $17.30. And the total annual income created for participants since January of 2024 has been $143,915.20. I take these numbers every month, and I decided to focus it down on just Gila County so you guys can see the impact that's going on in your community. And just a little side note, if you'd like these numbers on a quarterly basis, I'm more than willing to do that. Some of the great things that are happening in our job centers and in Gila County specifically is we have a new business service representative and a new Title III Employment Services supervisor hired to focus just on Gila County. We're implementing a new referral system. It's called Atlas, and it's really neat. One of the barriers, as you guys know, is just how spread out everything is. Transportation is an issue for people. They can't get to us. We don't want to be the barrier for people seeking our help. So Atlas is a neat little system where it doesn't matter where you are, you can get on your cell phone, you can apply for our services. It'll be able to, we're in the process of building some forms so it'll more easily identify some of those eligible barriers so we can get them enrolled in the more individualized programs that they might qualify for. I oversee a lot of job center flow and function. If you think you perfected something, you better go back to the drawing board because you can always improve. So that's basically my mission, again, just to make sure that anybody who walks into our centers or tries to get a hold of us are having the best experience possible and the best outcome possible. And we've done so much within Gila County. I wish I could tell you it all, but I think it's better to hear it from Sherry Davis, our Title I staff. She would be a lot more appropriate to tell you what's going on, boots on the ground. So Sherry?
If I may, Ms.
Sure.
Yeah.
The total placements since January, that 114, that's just in Gila County, or is that through the whole program?
Just in Gila County.
Okay, and so how many actually tried to, or came through the system, but, I mean, how many total applicants was there, or is that the total?
So I only track the ones who are successfully exited or
Okay.
exited in general.
Uh-huh.
It just so happens that all of these were successful placements. They found employment. I
Cool.
can, one of the things that I'm trying to implement is getting a better track at how many people enter our job center so we can kind of see what's going on. And the building of Atlas is really going to help that because it's not going to be a tally mark system. It'll kind of be automatic and build those reports.
Well, that 114, that's a good number, so
Yeah.
thank you.
And
And-
Mr. Chair, if I may, does that 114 include the summer workforce?
Thank you.
Okay, that's just asked and answered, thank you.
Anybody else? I'll be available to
Okay.
answer questions
Thank
at
you
the end
very
of the
much.
presentation too.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Thank you so much. My name's Sherry Davis, so I'm the program manager of Northeastern. And we have 5 case managers total. We have one here in Globe, that's Eileen. And then we have Sarah in Payson. So they each have their own separate caseload. Wanted to just share with you a little bit about our program and what we do. So people that come into our job center, they have barriers to employment. So that can be anywhere from being justice involved, being homeless, low income, being on food stamps, what we call SNAP, if they have a disability, if they're single parenting. So people that come into the Title I program, they have barriers to employment. So we help them not just to find employment, but to work through those barriers. Sometimes that includes training, sometimes that includes supportive services. Sometimes it can mean just a simple, I got a job through employment services, but I need help getting to work, or I need clothing for work, I need gas to get to work. So we can provide that for them. For those that are looking to go into training, we do offer training. Nursing is a big one, so I'm very glad to hear with Gila Community College because that was always a big, big part of our nursing program. In the past, we've had, usually anywhere from 15 to 20 nurses, coming through our program every single year. That's a 2-year program. So this year in Gila County, we have 4 nurses graduating from Payson and we have 4 nurses graduating from Globe. So that is a really good thing. I did give some flyers to Samantha. So one of them is just this one right here that talks a little bit about our program and things that we do and people that we help. As far as events, we have been very, very busy in the last 6 months. Now that I am fully staffed, we're able to really just work on outreach and connecting with different programs. University of Arizona Co-op, they offer a financial literacy class. So we have partnered with them because with our youth program, one of the 14 elements is financial literacy. So when they get a job, how are they going to spend their paycheck? Are they going to just spend it all or are they going to save it? So that's one of the 14 elements. And so we've been able to partner with U of A Co-op Extension. They have a really good program called Where Does Your Money Go? And so they have offered to do this remotely. So not just people in Gila County, but also in Navajo County and Apache County can attend this program and they can do it virtually. So we're so glad to be able to connect with them. The other thing that we've been doing in Payson, you have the Route 87 Teen Center. So Sarah, who's our case manager in Payson, she's been working with Jeremy there pretty much every week going there. They only have 3 youth so far that are going to the Teen Center on a regular basis, but they did have a ribbon cutting a couple weeks ago. So we're really hoping that more youth will start attending that teen center. What Sarah's been doing is we have these really great VR virtual reality headsets in which youth can do career exploration. So she's been taking those VR headsets to the teen center and giving the youth an opportunity to use them and look at different careers. For job fairs, we do 2 job fairs every year. So we do one in the spring at Miami High School. We do one in the fall at Globe High School. We also attended the College and Career Fair at San Carlos High School. So we did all three of those this year. It's a great turnout. We have employers there, we have different colleges there, and we invite all the community high schools there as well. So it's not just one high school, it's all the high schools in the area that attend that. We also, with Miami High School, I'm sure you are familiar with the Miami Cafe 2.0. So we were able to attend that last meeting that Dr. Ramos has been doing. So that was a great piece of just tying in with the Miami Cafe 2.0 and coordinating our efforts with that. Stephen Palmer, who is the CTE teacher at Miami High School, he wants us to start coming in the fall and using those VR headsets and tying it into the CTE classes. So one of the flyers that I have for you actually talks about the VR headsets. We now have 24.
I'm not sure. The half million that's been put into the building doesn't count as a match, but there's gonna be some matching. We're gonna see a globe and the county will go out and $100 submit whatever amount.
And it's gonna be what, business incubator?
Business indicator.
Yes,
Yeah.
good idea.
SPD's
Back up, pretend like it never started.
workforce could be able to work out of those locations.
That's, I mean, it's important to have a vibrant downtown community.
Winning IT department has solved all of our problems. So I'll call the meeting back to order, and Sherry, if you would, please continue.
Fantastic. So one thing I had failed to mention when I was talking about the job fairs is we also did a job fair in Payson. So that was tied with Local First, and that was a very well attended job fair. So we did that. All of these events that we have done in the last 6-7 months have been fantastic because as Jeremy had mentioned, you know, it used to be that our program was that well-kept secret. And so the more contacts that we make, the more we're out there in the community, the more that people see us, the more people are going to hear about our program. So anybody and everybody really could use our program in one form or another, whether it's just looking for a job or helping them with their resume or connecting them to another source. So as I was talking about the different events that we have attended, we also attended the health fair at Cobra Valley Regional Medical Center. So we did that. That was fantastic. I was able to connect with Bonnie at the hospital, who is with social services, because she was telling me that people that come into the hospital, one of their stress factors is not being able to pay their hospital bill, their hospital expenses, and they need a job. So her and I are going to be connecting to help those folks out. And then Christy Morales, who is the HR generalist at Cobra Valley Regional Medical Center, her and I have been talking a few different times on the work experience opportunities so that we can connect our youth to maybe some work experiences at the hospital. So I will talk a little bit about the WEX in a minute. But as far as other events that we have attended, the Copper Corridor Attainment meetings, that is something new that just started. There have been 2 meetings that have taken place so far, and all of that is focused on youth. And it's what can we do to engage youth? What can we do to retain youth in our community? A lot of it is, you know, youth go to the valley to attend college, go to a university. Are they coming back to our local area and working? Are they bringing those skills back? So that whole Copper Corridor Attainment is, how do we get youth engaged? How do we keep them engaged? How do we retain them in our community? So really is a brainstorming meeting that we're doing. A lot of your partners are there, so your principals, your superintendents for Globe, Miami, Hayden, Superior, they're all there. Your chambers are there. ASU was there. Education Forward, they're the ones that put forth that Copper Corridor Attainment meeting. So that's been very good. All of us together looking at how do we engage youth. The other thing, the other events that we've been doing, so the VR headsets. So I mentioned that before. The VR headsets, you put the headset on. You've got 2 goggles here, and you are actually in a virtual reality space. And we have construction, we have automotive, we have solar, there's electrical, there's medical on there. There's the clean room, you know, where you're working with the semiconductors and you're in that clean suit. There's so many different broad careers that a young person could look into. So they're quick, they're 5 minutes, It's just a taste. It's nothing that takes very long. But if a young person says, hey, this is something that I want to learn more about, then we can do a deeper dive into career exploration, looking at ONET, looking at the labor market, looking at what are the jobs here in the local area, and then working towards either a WEX opportunity, on-the-job training, or even sending them to schooling for training. So with the VR headsets, we are partnering with Arizona Youth Partnership, which I'm so glad to announce that. They do a summer program. They do a summer conference in each of the areas that they serve, and they invited us to partner with them. They do a game of life. So as the kids are going through this game of life, when they pick up a career card, they have matched those careers with the careers that are on the VR headset. So let's say they pick up one for automotive, then they would come to us and they put the VR headset on and they can look at that career. So June 3rd, we're going to be at Globe High School. June 5th, we're going to be at Miami High School. June 6th, we're going to be at Hayden High School. June 10th, we're going to be at Payson at the EAC campus. June 21st, Superior High School. June 28th, the Pine Elementary School campus, and that'll be for all the youth in Pine. For Hayden Winkleman area, June 4th, so in between all of that, June 4th, I'm also doing a presentation at the Hayden Library. So that is really good to just be a part of the Hayden area, because we haven't always had those opportunities to be there and do outreach. So I'm so glad that we're able to do that. Other events, so CASA, which is part of the foster care system, they're always looking for volunteers. I'm doing a presentation with them on June 14th, because as those youth are aging out of the CASA program, they too will be looking for job opportunities and career exploration. So Emily reached out to me, so I'm going to be doing a presentation with her and her staff in regards to how our program can help their youth in their program. And then the last event that I wanted to mention that we did, we've partnered with Parenting AZ, which is part of Chicago's Por La Causa, and they did a community baby shower in Miami at the old YMCA. And they invited a lot of their participants who are young moms that recently had a baby or are expecting to come to the community baby shower. So we were able to share our information with those young moms too, because eventually they're going to be wanting to get back into the workforce. At that baby shower, I actually had a dad approach me and said, hey, I'm looking for a job. So that was a really good opportunity. WEX opportunities. I wanted to talk about WEX. WEX is for work experience, similar to the summer youth program that you do, but different. So how we're different, well, let's talk about how we're the same. We're the same in that it's short term, right? Just like your summer program. It's a short term experience in which a youth can gain some soft skills. They can learn how to work with different people, learn that critical thinking. But after the work experience is completed, we keep going with them, because depending on what their goals are, if they're an in-school youth, then we're going to keep working with them until they graduate high school. So that's really important when you're looking at youth that are at risk. They're at risk. So maybe they're on the verge of dropping out of high school. We want to keep them engaged so that they complete that high school diploma. But if you do have a youth that has dropped out and they're part of our adult ed program, then we'll work with them too, again, with the focus on making sure that they get that GED. With the work experience program, the other thing that we're different is that we're looking at jobs. So they do the work experience, they discover if that's something that they're interested in doing. Sometimes we've had youth that say, this is not what I want to do. I thought this is what I wanted to do, but this is not what I want to do. So let me share with you a success story of one of our youth right here in Globe. Her name's Jessica. She came to us, well, gosh, about 2.5 years ago. And she was going to work for the Cobra Valley Youth Club, Boys and Girls Club, for the summer program, because she really wanted to go into early education. So Carmen Casillas reached out to me. Jessica met the eligibility criteria for our program. So we did the work experience with the youth club. Halfway through, she came to me and she said, Sherry, this is not what I want to do. I thought I wanted to work with kids, but this really is not what I want to do. So we continued with the WEX, with the youth club, but in the process of that, we also did a lot of career exploration, had her do a career assessment just to find out where are her strengths. What are things that she likes? What is she good at? What is she interested in doing? In that, we discovered that she really liked computers, computer software. She was looking at maybe being a computer developer, just looking at different computer things. So the following summer, she did a work experience with Gila County IT, and it was fantastic. She loved it. They loved her. She really got a lot of hands-on just to kind of get a feel for what that field was like. And she decided at the end of that she wanted to actually get a credential in that. So we sent her to Perscalis, which is one of our training providers that we work with. She was able to do it 100% online, which was great. She didn't have to travel to Phoenix. At the end of that, she got her credential. The way that program works is they have big tech companies that write the curriculum. So we're going through Perscalis. She had an automatic job with tech systems, but that was going to be down in the valley, and she wanted to find something here locally. She had an opportunity to work for Pinot Valley, but she decided she didn't want to do that due to some health reasons. So she just kept applying. She had 2 interviews with TikTok, which was really exciting, but that didn't happen, so she kept applying. I'm happy to say she is now employed with Department of Homeland Security. So she is 20 years old. She's a contractor, so she's not employed directly with Department of Homeland Security, but she has her foot in the door. So that was the whole process, and that's what we like to see with our youth. Sometimes, they'll go through a work experience and they'll go, fantastic, this is what I want to do. Sometimes they'll go through it and say, no, this is not what I want to do, which is fine. That's fine. Because then we go back to the drawing board and we say, what is it that you're interested in doing? Because we want to set them up for success, not for failure. So we want to set them up for success. So just to kind of give you another example, we had a youth, and this was a few years ago, and she was going through the medical assisting program, but that required high math, and for some people math is just not their thing, and so she really struggled, and that in the end she didn't get her credential in medical assisting because that just was not the right fit for her. So through that, you have to go back and from the beginning, ask those right questions, do those assessments, find out what it is that they're good at, what do they like to do, and what's going to make them good money, and what does the labor market look like. So I call that the sweet spot. That's the win. Something that you're going to make good money at, something that you're good at, and something that you like to do, and that you can make a good living at. We also partner with Gila County Adult Education. So youth that have dropped out of high school, they're automatically eligible for our program. Not everybody that comes into our program follows through. We do have some of those people that they just drop out. Life happens and they go another direction. But we really do work with all of our clients, with our adults, our dislocated workers, and our youth to make sure that they are successful. And when we send them to a training and after they get that credential, we work really hard to make sure that they are employed and have a job. And sometimes, you know, that is going to look different for each person. You know, they'll complete that credential and then again, life happens. Maybe health issues happen, family issues happen, maybe they make poor choices. But we really do try to work with them diligently to make sure that they have a job. And so they'll stay on our caseload for as long as it takes. We're not going to rush them through. They stay on our caseload for as long as it takes, and we hold their hand. And we always tell them, we're in your corner, we're your advocate, we're here to make sure that you're successful no matter what. So that's the end of mine, but if you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
No question.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm good, Sherry. I know I've got questions for you, but I'll catch up with you later.
Okay, that
All
sounds
right.
great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Lori. There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Lori Weichman. I'm the new business service rep with Arizona at Work, and I am super excited to be here today. I'd like to do a shout out to Adam, which is our business engagement specialist with Arizona at Work, and he is showing me the ropes, getting me trained up so I can take care of all those businesses out there in Gila County. My history came from Arizona at Work recently. I was at the job center for the last 6+ years, helping those clients, referring to our partner programs, which would be Title I, Title II, Title III, IV, all of that. So I was Title III in the jobs office, helping those clients. So I got really familiar and built a lot of relationships with those businesses in Payson, specifically, and those surrounding areas, because I was working directly with those clients, those job seekers that were coming in. And so I was connecting with those businesses already, referring those job seekers for jobs, trying to find out what jobs were open, setting up job fairs, doing all that stuff that this business service rep role that I've walked into is doing already. So I feel like I've already kind of been doing this. Have all those relationships with those businesses in Gila County already, or at least in Payson. So what I'm doing with those businesses when I engage with them, either on the phone or in person, is to get them enrolled on our website, which is Arizona Job Connection. It is the website that's in all of the Arizona Network offices across the state. So any business or client job seeker that comes in, that's the website we're looking at. That's what we're going to enroll everybody on, including those employers, which are super important on that website, because there would be no jobs for those job seekers if we didn't have businesses on there. So that's my job, is to get out there and engage with those businesses, which I do really well. I can get out there and meet them where they are, find out what services they need. What we're going to do on Arizona Job Connection is check and see if they have an enrollment. We're going to get them on the website if they don't, or reactivate their account, and then talk about what services that we can provide them. On the website would be entering job orders if they have job openings, and of course there's a lot of other resources on that website, labor market information. They can take manage of their accounts themselves. So that would be what I would be doing. Also is teaching and giving technical assistance to those businesses so they can manage their accounts online, post their own jobs, close them out when they hire people. I'm there to do all of that for them, but we love those businesses that want to do that themselves, and a lot of them are ready to do that. They want to engage, get on their own. Then I would be following up with them to make sure that everything is going well, do anything I can to help them. As far as that goes, if they were to be getting on their own, they can look for job seekers on their own. They can do resume searches, post hiring events, look at labor market information and things like that. So because I've been out there in the community already for a long time, and I've lived in Gila County for 26 years, and in Payson, and working and raising my family in Payson for 26 years, do have a lot of existing relationships with a lot of businesses, even if it wasn't through the jobs office. I know my husband's self-employed. We know a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to building those relationships with those existing businesses I already know, and then getting to know those businesses in Gila County, Globe, all those little rural areas like Young and San Carlos, Pine Strawberry, all the little communities that might be forgotten prior to having a business service rep in the area. It's been a few years since we've had anybody doing this, and it used to be a state function. So anyway, so I am really excited to be connecting with these employers and referring to our partners and all of those community organizations that we are so close with, like the Chamber, DES. I attend an interagency meeting every month that has like agencies. Everybody knows we're out there. They're all spreading the word. Everyone's excited to get these services for their businesses. So we want to make sure that we are referring to all those places to ensure that Gila County businesses are offered all those programs to succeed, because we definitely want to see that growth and the economic development in Gila County. And we're all personally vested since I live there, and I want to see those businesses succeed for sure. So we are business-focused recruiting services at no cost, so nobody has to pay for this. It's all free for those businesses when we are engaging with them. That's a huge selling point. Nobody has to pay for anything. So since last week, since I finally got my feet wet and getting on the website and starting to enter job orders, I got 20 of them entered last week. So that's kind of a huge success for me. I'm happy to finally get some job orders in, and it's just going to start steamrolling for sure. So we're here to refer those businesses to all of our services, including apprenticeship. Our apprenticeship program is pretty amazing, and we can share exactly how that goes, set up the apprenticeship department to come in and speak with those businesses. So if that's something that they want to move forward with. We do have special workforce projects, including the Copper Corridor, which I'm really excited to get to know all those businesses and all those mines. And the PACE and career fairs, we have the college and career fairs at the school. I'm looking forward to getting to know Globe and getting into our career fairs here. Business Showcase, I'm sure that there's one in Globe. I know we have one in Payson. So I will be just connecting with all of those resources to help grow our business community in Gila County. So that's what I got. Did I miss anything? Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Lori.
Thank
Just
you.
something that she said that I really want to highlight is
Okay.
that for 15 years, we had no business service representation from the state of Arizona in Gila County, period.
Okay.
They tried recruiting, they couldn't do it, never happened. Through Jeremy's direction, we got it done. And now you guys have a VSR dedicated to Gila County. This is her only function. This is what she's here for. I cover the Apache and Navajo County areas. So she's here to build it, and we're starting from ground zero, so she could always take direction. We're here to grow.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, thank you for that. Supervisor Humphrey, any questions?
I have no questions. I'm just glad to see that we have this much interest and enthusiasm in workforce development, because it seems like we've tried to have it in the past and it went nowhere. I was an owner of a general contracting company and tried to help and even train, and it just didn't work. And so we do have the need. People do need jobs, and so I'm glad to see a lot of wind in the sail and people working with enthusiasm. So I wish you well, because it can be a great program if it's worked effectively. So thank you all for coming today and talking and having enthusiasm in Gila County for workforce development. That's all,
Thank you for
Mr. Chair.
having us. Thank
Thank you. Supervisor Klein, do you have anything?
Yeah.
you.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
I was going to catch you before you sit down, but tell me about your apprenticeship program. What are you doing there?
So the apprenticeship, we do have an apprenticeship department. So if we find that one of the businesses are showing interest, I am selling all of our services.
Mhm.
So if it looks like it's a business that it might be interested in the apprenticeship program, it's they are trying to build these certifications for these apprentices. And so we might share what we know, and then I'm going to get probably a Zoom meeting together with the apprenticeship department and that business, and probably one of our other programs, and we're going to chat with that business and make sure that they know all about what the apprenticeship can do for them. We do have, on the state website, there is so go ahead, Adam.
So the plan is, what we've already successfully launched in Navajo County, is we do an apprenticeship workshop in collaboration with the state registered apprenticeship team. And so far, I'm proud to say we do have 2 apprenticeships now in Cholo that just, we didn't even know they were there. They came to the workshop, and within a month, they were registered apprenticeship. So there's different levels of apprenticeship is what we're trying to teach them. But Lori will be running workshops throughout Globe and Payson and throughout all the area. We're going to run them, we're going to start quarterly and then start working. If we need to do monthly, we'll do monthly. But our objective is to get as many apprenticeships that we can in the area, because again, something that Title I can fund. So it's something we're trying to bring that together. We've never had that either, and we're doing it. We're working on it. It's, again, the state owns the program. We're there to transport them to that state program to make sure they're successful. So we are on the ground. I hope that helps.
So it does, Adam, and the reason I ask is, like, me and Homero have started talks on this a long time ago, and Homero, you kind of started a somewhat apprenticeship program in Public Works, right?
We have two programs going on, one for operators and the other one for what we call technicians. And we have them start at the apprenticeship program, and we can then take them to the next level when they graduate, and then the senior level later on.
Now, is that a nationally recognized apprenticeship program?
No, that's, we're doing that on our own. We're using, but I was gonna follow you out at the end of the meeting.
Because we can link you up and we can make it nationally. That's the whole idea. This is the conversation we've never had up here, and we're starting to have that conversation. It's amazing. We got an HVAC company right now that's doing an entire apprenticeship, and he's going broke, and he's trying to figure out how he's going to keep it going. Come to find out, we can actually pay for that apprenticeship. We can pay for technicians to teach by the time we pay those fees. So there's things we can do. That's what we're doing now.
So this is something that, from a county standpoint, me speaking for myself, I'm very interested in, because as you guys know, hiring people is just almost impossible.
That's correct.
And so if we're not training and bringing folks up, we're not having a whole lot of success. And we realize that when you do, that they may move on to better paying jobs, and that's good. That's what we want, is people to improve themselves. So from, like I said, me and Homero have had these discussions for a long time. So this is something that, from a county part of it, or departments or whatever, you may hear more back from.
I hope so, because if I get more people at these workshops, the more successful we're going to be.
Right.
And again, if we buy a lunch, they come in, they get to go straight to the state. I'm tired of the phone game, so now we're doing straight to. And I found that the businesses feel more important. They feel more obligated to do it when they have someone in front of them, and they're getting direct answers instead of calling me or calling Lori and going around and around. It's just straight to. And again, it's the ability to add the funding part that's very critical as far as apprenticeship. And yeah, you're right, you're going to lose someone, but if that employer is collecting fees, they've got their own stuff helping them out on the side.
Right.
It's not as much of a loss to the business, but they're supporting the industry, if that makes sense.
It does. And Lori, so you do live in Payson?
I do.
And so, okay, somewhere along the line, maybe we'll sit down and visit some more.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If I may, I wanted to just, sorry, just real quick, we do have an electrical apprenticeship program. So as you're talking about apprenticeships, and that's with the IBEW right here in town. In our program, we have 19 adults. We have 8 youth that are in the electrical apprenticeship program. It's a 5-year program. They have to do 8,000 hours in the 5 years, so they're doing about 1,600 hours a year. It's an earn while you learn. They go to school every other Saturday. It's right here at the IBEW Hall, and it's a fantastic program. So that's throughout our whole region. So they do have participants in Sholo, Patch County, and of course Gila County. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Sherry. Jeremy, are we at the end of your presentation?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I would like to just provide a conclusion here. This is a bullet point list when I sit down to think about what have we done for Gila County lately. Here's kind of the high points, and I'm not going to go through a rundown of every single one of these. There's other presenters waiting to go here. But if any of the supervisors have any questions about any of these, I would be happy to talk about it if you want to reach out. I do want to just say that I'm very happy to have Lori on board. Our employment services program also has a new supervisor in Payson. We have case managers for our program in both the Payson and Globe job centers for the first time. And a lot of that staffing and just building the team and building the foundation of the program has been my priority over the last year, that back to basics with the core services. With that said, I do have some ambitions for the program, and one of them is a municipal and county jobs pipeline that will just, I think we kind of were just touching on that, and it is something I think in Navajo County, I think in Apache County, they're seeing the same thing that they're seeing here, where the struggle is to retain youth who are of an age to enter the workforce and to get them to settle down in gainful careers here, where they can raise families here and repeat that cycle for the next generation, rather than losing them to other places where they are going to pursue opportunities. So in all three counties, one of I think the biggest employer is the county government itself, and those are good jobs that can turn into gainful careers that we want, that I know the counties have difficulty filling. And so we want to bridge that gap, and an important way that we can do that is by registering apprenticeship programs, which remove some of the constraints on who can enter and how we can use our funding to support people. Registered apprenticeship makes it a little bit easier for them to get in, and so we are trying to do that with city and county governments, and we would love to expand that to here. I think that's kind of in terms of, for the next few years, how can we have the biggest impact on the area? I think that youth retention is probably it. And so we're very focused on the day-to-day. We took advantage of the same DES funding opportunity that we heard about earlier. We just finished purchasing for about $445,000 that we were awarded for everything from new computers for the resource room at the Globe Community Center that we're actually going to go set up right after we're through here, to consultants both in the job centers working with Sherry and on the management team working with us to help us improve our procedures. So we're really trying to just do workforce administration the best that we can. And the last thing I want to say is that we are we're the state workforce program for the area, but we are not the workforce program for the area. We are here to be a resource to all of the community organizations that are, and so initiatives like the summer youth program here. As I said, we have a lot of constraints on how we can spend our money. We have a lot of hoops that we have to jump through. We have a lot of restrictions on who we can spend money to help. So it really helps us to connect with local organizations that can do things that we can't, and sometimes we can take over where they leave off, or we can support them in other ways. So we're trying to really connect to that whole ecosystem, because there are a lot of organizations that are trying to help these communities and help the workforce here. We want to be a resource for them as well. I think that's all. I feel like we had some questions, but I do want to hear from you all. The economic trends, community events, areas of focus or concern for you as county management. I think a lot of our success in Navajo County and in Apache County has come from our accessibility to the county management there, and we really do want to be reachable and in touch with your management team, with your department directors, to better understand the needs here and what we can do, how we can bring some of these initiatives and get equitable service throughout the region, which is what we're going for. So if there, I'd be happy to take questions. I know we've taken up a lot of your time already, and I'm happy to answer in follow-up communication instead of right here, but are there any questions that you'd like addressed right now?
Thank you. Anything? else?
The only question I have is, any of you have a business card? Terry Links is my assistant right behind you. If you could get her a card so that I can reach out to you as I need to.
Great.
Other than that, no questions. Like I say, I'm glad to see the wind in your sail, and hopefully it'll go better than it has in the past.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, we're developing a lot, and we are running into setbacks. We're running into our limitations, rules we didn't know about, and so we do have some false starts here and there. And we appreciate the patience of all of the community partners who've been inconvenienced by that. But I think we're making 2 or more steps forward for every step back. So yeah, we have our contact information up there, and then just thank you for the opportunity to present here and for the chance to serve this county. Appreciate it.
Supervisor Klein.
Jeremy, good job.
Thank you.
So what I can see going forward is somewhere along the way, probably not too far off, we'll be in touch with you.
Great.
Me and Kathy will be, and I'd like to sit down with whoever, Sherry, Lori, all of you, whatever it is, wherever it's at, to discuss maybe some possibilities for the future.
Fantastic.
And
yeah.
we'll see what we can do. And there's absolutely some ways that you can help us as well as we can help you. So
Absolutely.
we'd be glad to do that.
Appreciate it. Thank you, supervisors.
Mr. Manlove.
Mr. Chairman, just wanted to express appreciation to Mr. Flowers for the program. As he mentioned, it is very, very complicated. It's a federal program, and there are unlimited numbers of restrictions and things that Mr. Flowers and his team have to comply with. Mr. Flowers, you and your team are doing a great job, and we appreciate all you're doing in Gila County. I especially want to express appreciation for returning to basics. This program is intended to help those that are the most needed and essentially need life skills in being able to become an employable individual. And so thank you for doing that and giving those that don't have any other opportunity, this is a safety net for those that most need it. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That means a lot too. And yeah, the chance to really just connect with the people who need us and to do right by them is it's a really, I feel very fortunate to be able to work in this field and do what I'm doing, and I try to bring that to my team and to our workplace in general. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you too, Mr. Flowers, and all of your team that showed up today. Good presentation, good job, good efforts, and I would ask at least for Lori to give a card to my executive in the back. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Okay, all right. Non-action item, we'll go to item 2D next. Information and discussion regarding the services that are provided by Eastern Arizona College Small Business Development Center to future entrepreneurs of Gila County. We have 2 members from that organization, Sarah Alexander.
Hello.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us. It's back. Okay. Thank you. So a little bit about our team. We are the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, and on the screen you'll see myself. My name is Sarah Alexander. I am your business analyst for the Globe Miami-San Carlos area. Next we have Tavia Rayleigh. She's our program assistant in Thatcher. Eric Bejarano is our center director. He's here with us today. He'll speak in a little bit. And we have Simone Casio from Payson. She's also in this. What is the SBDC? So we are funded partially by the SBA, and then we're also partially funded through a host institution. So our host institution is EAC. We provide no-cost business counseling to current business owners and those just starting. And then we offer no-cost, low-cost classes and seminars to educate and inform business owners. We have 1,100 plus centers nationwide, 4,500 full-time counselors, and we've served way more than that as of today. Clients' businesses served. A little bit more about me before I go to the next slide. I just started with the SBDC in 2021. And I'm also a local business owner. So I work for the SBDC part-time, and I business own full and a half-time. it's a big job. We also partner with Apex. They are in charge of all government contracts. So there's just the information for Lori Hazos. She's our contact if your business or anybody you know is interested in any kind of government contracting. So getting down to the SBDC and what we do in our events. So I've highlighted some of our major events just to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're doing in our communities. We partner with San Carlos Economic Development to provide a San Carlos Small Business Lecture Series. And then we'll follow with each slide with a little bit more information on those. We started the Dream Builder program in Gila County. We have a Glow Miami Small Business Series I run monthly. The one we're most excited about, or I am as a former school teacher, is our YEET program coming up next month. We have Moonshot coming to Globe and Payson in June. And then what we mainly do is one-on-one business counseling. First, our YEET program, it stands for Young Entrepreneur Excellence Training. And it's June 3rd to the 7th, and it's open to any 9th through incoming 12th graders. And it's 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. every day at the college. We provide them lunch, and they're going to pitch a business idea to us. So it's like a mini Shark Tank. And they'll get prize money provided by Freeport, and we're super excited about that. I was a high school teacher, so I am sort of excited about it. Next, this is a program that I personally love. It's our 3rd year doing it with San Carlos. So every month I travel to San Carlos and I teach a small business lecture series topic. But I really focus on a business plan. So every component you see there listed is a different component of the business plan. And then in September, so we run January through August with our classes, and then in September they have a competition. So participants in San Carlos compete for prize money, and I think last year the winner walked away with $10,000 to start their small business. I also partner with workforce development and job training in San Carlos, and I teach interview skills and resume writing. I just taught one in May, and then we'll teach again in August in Vilas. This is one of my favorite programs that we partner with. Next, I started Dream Builder up in Globe for the first time in October. So Dream Builder is a free online business education certification program offered in English and Spanish. Online, there are 13 modules, and it's basically the basic first steps to starting a business. And it was created by Freeport to make girls and young women have opportunities to be full participants in economic development. So it's a hybrid program, so I teach in-person classes once a week, and then they have an online component they complete on their own. And then when they finish, they get a certificate, and we have a big graduation hosted by Freeport. In October, we graduated 10 ladies, and then in March, we just graduated 9 ladies. And a lot of them are in business, starting business, and growing their business, so it's a great program. They all become friends, they order from each other, they group up, so it's a really neat thing to see. And selfishly, as a business owner, I get to be involved in it too. This is my small business series class offered every month, the 3rd Wednesday of every month. Last month, I did a topic on Canva for social media, but we've done using Square, kind of any kind of business topic. This June, we'll do funding your business, funding your small business, and those are all at 5:30. You can register by scanning that QR code or just show up and we can register you there. Another super exciting event that we love, this is our 3rd year on the Moonshot Tour. So Moonshot is an Arizona-based nonprofit, and it is meant to develop an entrepreneurial ecosystem. This SBD supports by hosting preparation classes, so I teach them every Wednesday. We had one last week, nobody came, but I'm hopeful we have one tomorrow, somebody will. So tomorrow we have a class 5:30, and then next Wednesday, but then the pitch is actually on June 14th all day, and we have a reception on June 13th. The public is welcome, and the people from Moonshot were actually, the wife was on Shark Tank, so it's a really cool program. Last year, Gila County swept the competition. We had first place winner with Tim Walensky with Pin Drop Trailers, and then we had the crowd favorite, Duker Ranch out of Payson. So they compete here for local money, and our prize money this year is $2,000, $1,500, and $500 to go towards our business. And they go on to compete in the Arizona competition, and this year it's in Cottonwood in August, and they can compete for $10,000. So it's a free competition. Anybody is invited. Starting business, growing your business, expanding your business. They really look for workforce development and job expansion. Just kind of anybody can participate. So Payson is Saturday, June 22nd, and theirs is a one-day event, and theirs will be at Noli's, and she was a past pitch participant. So really exciting. And then lastly, before I turn it over to Eric, this is everything that I can try to help you with. I'm definitely not an expert. I do own my own business, so I give you some kind of okay advice sometimes, but day to day I see helping with LLCs, kind of formalizing those first few things, TPTs, do a lot of business plans, social media help, kind of the list goes on and on. Anything that you can think of business-wise, if I can't help you, we have a whole network that definitely can help you. And the cool thing is that we work together so well, I can put you in touch with somebody that can help you. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but we're completely a free service. The only thing that we do charge for is Dream Builder program. That's $50, but we offer scholarships. If you can't afford it, you get to come no matter what. Some of our clients are one time, they need an LLC, and I never see them again. I've had clients from when I started, they're still a client with us, and their businesses continue to grow. So it's really a rewarding and fun job. So that's it from me. So I'm going to welcome Eric Bejarano up, and he's going to talk about SBDC Gila County impact.
Thanks, Sarah. Morning, Eric.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Gila. Thank you for having us today to hear some updates on the SBDC. I think the last time I met with you all was way back in October. We presented a proclamation to celebrate small business women in that month, and you accepted that and approved it. So thank you again for that. I do want to add something to Sarah's presentation. So YEET, the Youth Entrepreneur Program she spoke of, that came about from last year's Rural Policy Forum that was held locally here. It was one of our workshops called Strategic Doing. Our group was together with Mr. Diebold from the Commerce Authority, and then we took that to develop a program, and it was a youth entrepreneur program that we developed from that. The interesting thing to add is after we complete that, not only locally here, but in Thatcher in a couple of weeks, we're going to present that at the policy forum in Cottonwood in a couple of months. So exciting information. One other thing to mention before I talk about data is our team is all part-time with the exception of me, which some of this information I'll share with you in just a moment is just totally exciting. So we cover Graham, Greenlee, and Gila County. As she mentioned, our main office located on the Thatcher campus of Eastern Arizona College with an office here in Globe and also one in Payson. So for that Tri-County area in 2023, we helped serve over 261 clients. May not sound like a lot, but those are multiple meetings. And I've done the math. We're about 8 years into our fiscal year. We're looking at increasing that year over year by about 73 clients. Now here's the exciting information when it comes to numbers. Again, our team being part-time. In 2022, we helped small business owners obtain $2.8 million in new capital for their businesses, reinfused into our local economies. Last year, our part-time team helped those businesses owners obtain $8.8 billion, which people think not a lot happens in small rural communities like Gila County, Graham, or Greenlee, but there's a lot going on in the small business world. Here's some more exciting news. In 2022, our analysts helped small business owners that came in for assistance increase their sales by about $500,000, which is great. But last year in 2023, that jumped up over $5 million. So they helped sales increase by $5.5 million last year for small business owners that came in and worked with our team. So all that is super exciting, as well as the jobs that they create in supporting small business. Specific to Gila County, what I did is I pulled a 5-year trailing data just to look at it. As far as new capital infused, it's just about $500,000 to the community of Gila County that our analysts, Sarah and Simone, help small businesses with. Our biggest year over the last couple of years was actually in 2023. That number jumped to $1.3 million. And then interestingly enough to point out also, when business owners come in and work with our team, they help those small businesses on average increase their sales by about $40,000 a year. So you can see there's a lot happening at the SBDC. We're certainly happy to be here and support your community as well as Graham and Greenlee County. And with that said, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain those at this time.
Thank you both. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
So what's the easiest way for folks to get a hold of you?
The easiest way is Sarah does not shy away from sharing her phone number. It's
There
right
it
there on the
is.
screen. Our main number is actually 928-428-8590. That's at the main Thatcher campus where our program coordinator is at. But contact information for your Gila County business analyst is on the screen. eac.edu/SBDC is also another easy way to track us down. Great question.
So from a county standpoint, maybe this is more for you, Mr. Minlove, what can we do to help get these folks out there too from our standpoint?
Mr. Chairman, Sue, our client, first step is to have them come and have this discussion in public so that we can be more aware of the offerings that they do have. They do a significant part for small business and have a lot of resources that are available. And so we need to be active in our community and to be able to steer people to the SBDC that is in Gila County.
So then it would be possible to roll these folks in on an agenda item and make a decision?
Yes, it would.
Something for you guys to think about if you're interested.
Always interested.
Right
Thank
on.
you, sir. Appreciate it.
That works. Thank you all for being here today.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you both. I wanted to say, as we're increasing our broadband and fast internet capabilities in the county, in the north, et cetera, does that help with the development of small businesses where it's possibly been a hindrance in the past? Now it's helpful because they can locate in areas that they were not able to before?
Yes, great question. So internet services are very important, as you can imagine, for a small business, especially those that just operate primarily on the internet. But having that capability is I don't know a small business that doesn't use internet services, so it's very important.
Okay. And do you have any sort of a clue to what is the most sought after new business dynamic right now?
You know, to speak to the business type, they just vary so much. What we try to do, and Mr. Flowers said this, you know, being the best kept secret, so we just celebrated 35 years, and one of the things I tasked our team with at the beginning of this fiscal year is that let's break down those walls and not be a secret anymore and get the word out. So first, I appreciate being here. But we get all kinds of entrepreneurs coming through our doors that need assistance with anything and everything. And I would say probably the biggest challenge we see is folks that go out to businesses that charge them for services that we actually offer at no cost. So we can help them all. And like Sarah said, we don't know everything, but you saw our network on the screen. There's over 1,100 centers across the nation. Somewhere someone has done it or worked with it, and we can get that information and help support. I don't know if that speaks directly to your question, but we see it all is probably the best way I can answer that.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. And no action required there. Item 2E is information discussion regarding the Board of Supervisors' priorities for the local area and tribal consistency fund utilization. And I believe James is going to present this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Ms. Belling is excused today for personal reasons. She just really wanted me to relate to you that of our local area LATCF funding that we have, that there's about a little over $5 million that remains. And we're going to go into our next item. F is for facilities and land management to describe some of the projects we have ongoing, to give us an idea of how we prioritize those projects and utilize that $5 million of LATCF money. So that's,
okay.
Wanted to pass the buck, I guess, to Joseph and the facilities team.
Thank you. Any questions, Supervisor Humphrey, on this item?
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein?
5 million divided by 3 is what, James?
1.6 million.
There you go. Quick answer. Good.
Okay, thank you, and we're ready to move on to the next item, 2F, information and discussion regarding future Gila County capital improvement projects. Mr. Dickerson, how are you today?
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, I am doing well. Mr. Minlove, thank you for the introduction there. With the LATCF in mind, these are some of the proposed projects that we're going to be looking to the future on. Now, these proposed projects, the presentation is to provide the necessary information to assess the current list of projects and prioritize them based on their status, level of urgency, and potential value to help us move forward and achieve our goals. With that, we're definitely looking for feedback from the Board of Supervisors. We've somewhat stacked these in a prioritized way. Some of the ways that we prioritized it is the condition of whether it's equipment or the land for the project, and also a few other risk factors that we look at, whether that's risk management or critical assets. That steps us into our first project. Just I'd like to add, if there's any questions for each of these projects, please feel free to interrupt, and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. Something also to keep in mind as I step through these projects, I'm trying to keep them at a high level. There may be some numbers that I don't have in front of me, so any kind of technical specs or anything else like that, we'd be happy to get that information to you later.
Okay, thank you, Joseph.
First project, security camera initiative. Again, just briefly, the Atlas cloud-based video surveillance system is to be installed in several of our complexes. Within those complexes, the buildings are going to be the Courthouse, Copper Building, Guerrero Building, Central Heights, Payson Courthouse, TCM, and Star Valley Storage Building. The installation is expected to enhance the overall coverage with particular focus on critical areas such as the courthouse entrances, and which are the high traffic locations and election spaces. With that being said, there's something really important with this update. It's been a huge partnership with IT, and being able to have a new camera is a nice thing, but this is taking it a step further with artificial intelligence, and that is really where the power comes into this project. As an example, if we had someone that was yelling and screaming at designated locations, it would be able to identify that and send out notifications immediately. So it's proactive, not just reactive. And that's very important for this system. Also,
Supervisor Klein.
yes.
So, I'm just thinking back, are these projects that you're gonna come up and show us today, Joseph, are all, you're looking to maybe fund these with the LATCF funds, or are they already funded like this one?
Chairman, Supervisor Klein, that's a great question. So these projects currently are not funded, fully funded, or a designated fund. Outside of just a few that have had a general fund for architectural design falling underneath the projects. So to your point, we're going to be looking at LATCF as possible funding, but of course that's going to be up to the administration to make the final call. But this is certainly projects considered for that.
So as we go through this list of projects, are you gonna tell us what, in your opinion, is the highest priority?
Yes, sir, we're going to give you a recommendation.
Okay.
All right, with that project, any questions?
I just sort of halfway remember we thought we were going to use ARPA money for this, but that's not the case.
So, no, sir.
Okay.
All right, next project is the Fairgrounds Electrical Phase 1. We have an estimated cost of $650,000. With that, this phase of the project, we have had an assessment and evaluation conducted by an engineering and architectural firm, and with a few internal assessments, we identified and categorized each of the maintenance items related to the critical electrical infrastructure within the fairgrounds. Essentially, if we had to sum up that evaluation and an assessment, as you can imagine, almost every bit of that electrical infrastructure is not only outdated but degraded to a point of safety concerns. With that being said, this is out for solicitation, and we're looking at bringing up the entire site to just that baseline standard for safety and electrical infrastructure.
And Joseph, you're gonna be looking at the same cost to do that? That's the cost it's gonna take to do that?
That's estimated. We are, once we get the solicitation back, we will have a solid number. We anticipate it to be pretty close to this.
And so do you have any of that partially funded or anything like that right now, or is it still sitting there on the table needing funding?
It's still sitting out on the table.
Okay.
All right, next project steps right out of phase 1 into phase 2 for the fairgrounds electrical infrastructure. Now this is where the critical infrastructure gets a little bit more exciting. We're looking at bringing a 3-phase and establishing it in our main pavilion and the site. What that's going to allow us to do is step into improving the existing infrastructure, such as the HVAC systems and a few other things related to the electrical. The HVAC systems currently in place are swamp coolers, which you can imagine once it gets into summer, pretty rough to be able to hold any event in there. That's probably over 20 people. That location is more than capable of holding 400 plus. With that, it's important for us to look to the future of how we're progressing through that site. So there's other additions to this repair that we're looking at doing or upgrade. Again, the primary focus is that HVAC in the 3-phase. Yes, sir.
So we're talking 1.6 plus the other 600,000 to bring the electrical system up, what you would consider as adequate.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
So we're looking at $2.2 million to do.
Yes, sir.
That's a chunk of change, Joseph.
Yes, sir. So something to note when it comes to the fairgrounds is over the past year since we've pulled on an event coordinator, we've more than doubled how much use that entire site has received. And we're anticipating to the future. There's some things that hopefully we can share over the next couple of months, but we're talking to a lot of rodeo groups and working with the fair committee. So the site has been getting used quite a bit. And we're looking to use it even more into the future. And when it comes to the electrical infrastructure, we already have in our breakers limit how many people we can put in there, how we can comfort them, and how we present the site. If we want people to have the weddings, to be able to have other large events, even to include intergovernmental, these are going to be some of the requirements to be able to improve that site.
Mr. Chair, if I may. And so, like when we do a fair and things now, we actually have to rent generators and lights and things of that nature because of the electrical system.
Supervisor Humphrey, yeah, that's a really good point. I think the last year's numbers were a little bit lower, but they were running 50 plus light plants, and then I think it was closer to maybe 20 when it comes to generators.
And I guess,
And that was various.
Mr. Chair, if I may, and I guess what I'm reaching at is right now, the fairgrounds, to have the events that we do, cost us quite a bit per year. Where if we can get upgrades and stuff and have more functions there, it will be more on its own than it is now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, you have something on your mind?
Oh, yeah. So we've sat here with the fairgrounds for 8 years. This has been an issue that when me and Tim stepped on this board was just sitting there, wasn't being used. And we have a real good opportunity to bring a lot of stuff into Gila County with the fairgrounds. Unfortunately, it is going to hit us at a big cost. Yeah, let's just go on with them, with your list.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Joseph. Go ahead.
All right, the next one is the road shop wash bay. The existing drainage system is not working properly, needs frequent pumping, which is from a contractor. Fixing or replacing the system will decrease the amount of labor required being the contractor for the pump out system, as well as reduce the impact to the failing system. An assessment is necessary to determine the most appropriate approach for achieving a well-functioning system. With that being said, design. However, this is one of those projects that we're taking a hard look at and seeing how we want to progress forward with it. There's opportunity for, I think, some cost savings here. And there's been some other really good ideas proposed, and that's simply saying that we have to comply with state mandates, federal law when it comes to oil separating from the water. Can't contaminate groundwater or the ground with it. So with that, that's the part that we have to comply with. The other half is more of the design, how we're gonna functionally use it. You know, anything from, do we want it covered? Do we just need a simple pad? So there's some cost-saving opportunity, I think, there with some of these ideas.
How did this get built without all that already being addressed? Do you have any ideas? Do we just run rampant on projects, I guess, in the past?
Well, sure. So this system, I think, was built for maybe what it was intended to use at the time. As soon as they started washing parts and components with it, like spraying off the engine or the undercarriage, I think the system was probably overwhelmed.
So with that in mind, Joseph, there's nothing that I would say, and maybe Michael's the one to ask this, but from oils and contaminants like that, we're gonna end up pumping it out and hauling it off somewhere, correct? Or is there options to go with a regular septic type system to disperse that?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. So the history of this particular system is it was built for something, it was constructed for something completely different years ago. And it's been failing for about 10 years. So now we're taking a look at the usage of the existing fleet and the mechanics and what they're doing with this. And so we need to upgrade this system into ADQ approved. So it must be ADQ approved, it has to be engineered, and it has to be an on-site wastewater system that is approved by the state. So that's where we're at right now.
How about if we just go down the road to the car wash and call it a day?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is this was something else in the past, and now that we're using it for a wash shop that isn't adequate for what we're doing, and so let me ask you this. Rather than to tie into something like this and revamp it, would it not be easier just to have, rebuild a single bay somewhere with what we need and be done?
Would you be more specific, sir?
Like right there, there's 4 bays sitting there for that. Do we need all 4 of those bays for a wash rack? You see what I'm saying?
Excuse me, Chairman, Supervisor Klein, I apologize. This photo was just to capture the team. The actual location is barren. So this is not necessarily.
You're killing me,
wash
Joseph.
basin.
Okay, so let's start with that. Do we need to just build something that is just a wash rack for the use that the shops need? I mean, start from the ground up and go, rather than, what I'm saying is when you start tying into something to revamp it or modify it or change it, quite often costs just go up when it's easier just to scoot over and build what you need and be done.
Supervisor Klein, that's a really good point. That is one of the concepts that we're looking at, and we've looked at a few other sites, and that's why we had just the opportunity photo there. We're looking at quite a few sites to look at the feasibility of bringing in a new system versus trying to repair. We essentially have that answer, but we're still considering pretty much.
And you know, this is a project. I mean, we can talk about things like the fairgrounds or whatever it is for electrical, this place, whatever it is. But when you start talking about something where we're gonna need to get with ADEQ, approved systems and all that, that could come to a point where it shut us down from washing anything. Right?
Yes, sir, there is a risk there.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Thanks.
I have a question about it. So in your comments here, you say, by doing this, it will decrease the amount of labor required, and it will reduce the cost of hiring a third-party vendor. Not eliminate the cost, but reduce it. So can we keep things the way they are? First of all, that's the question. And second, if we keep things the way they are, how much are we spending to accommodate the way things are now versus the $650,000? I just need to know the balance. What are we spending now?
Yes, sir, would be happy to be able to put that together.
Okay. And then, is this something that we are required to do? Or can we continue the way it's being done now?
Chairman, members of the board. Currently, what's going on is when the system gets filled, we contact a local contractor to come and pump out the system. So we can continue to do that, to limp along until we get a new system in place. Is a new system going to be required for this type of work? Yes, sir. It certainly is at some point in time in the future. However, right now, we are managing it with a local contractor helping us pump it when needed.
So, if I may, with that in mind, where's the fluids going? Is it just going across the road to our landfill?
No, it's going into a system right outside. If you go look at the wash bay and you got this little gulch right down there, the system is down in there.
In the wash?
And it's going down there, and that's what's failing in the current system.
I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I can ask a question, if we do a new system, then what's gonna happen to the product? Is it gonna be pumped out of whatever filter it goes through?
Supervisor Humphrey, no, we're going to design the system, which will be approved by ADEQ, to handle the waste and not pump out on a regular basis. It would be like an on-site, it would be like a septic system, just a much different engineered septic system that would handle the waste. We'd have an oil separator part of the system, and then it would go into a leach field or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Keep going.
Joseph?
Yes.
If I may, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Back to the fairgrounds. Did you guys apply for money, for earmark money for the fairgrounds? Here comes Michael.
Chairman, members of the board, I'll probably just stay here now. So we worked with Patty Powers on the earmark
Okay.
applications this year, and as far as the fairgrounds did, we were not able to obtain earmark funding for that. We did apply, we did attempt to apply based on that particular property out there is used for emergency management during forest fires. We have
Right.
first responders that stay there, and that was not approved. So we are trying.
Okay. James, what I would say is when we apply for something like that, if we know that you guys are applying, we can make those phone calls that might help. You know, it may not, but it wouldn't hurt for us to be on the phone saying, hey, you know, be heads up, this is coming through, whatever it is. So just letting you know. I didn't know we'd even talked about applying for money for that. But what you said, Michael, as far as that facility being used for emergency services like that, that's a valid deal, real valid deal.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Supervisor Klein. One of our purposes is to identify the priorities, and then we do have a grants team that we are trying to identify what our needs are, and then reach out and say, okay, if this is our priority for what our needs are, then we're going to work to identify what grants potentially are available. So there might be earmarks or congressionally directed spending, but we're going to explore the entire gamut of finding money. It's not necessarily that it's all going to, well, there's not enough money in LATCF to fund all these projects, but it is a part of the finance department to continue to find funding for these. If they are an absolute necessity, that we have to go forward, it's incumbent on us as finance and administration to find the funding to pay for these projects.
Mr. Chair, if I may, and you're absolutely right, James. There's never enough money to go around. I fully am aware of that. You know, whether it's here or at the top. But yeah, by all means, let us know, because it doesn't hurt for us to rattle every tree we can rattle, and then to step back and say, no, we just can't get it. You know, so.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, absolutely rattling the trees works. We've seen it time and time again that those that have the loudest voices and continue to shake and rattle the trees are the ones that, whether for right or wrong, they're the ones that get the attention.
Right.
Frequently get the money. So absolutely, that is essential for us to
All right, if there's no further questions on the road shop wash bay, we'll step into the Central Heights roof replacement. This has been brought before the board a couple of times. Again, just to kind of recap it briefly, we're looking at a new roof installation. It would essentially reduce the current leaks and fix the damage that is existing there from the roof deteriorating. There were two perspectives that we were looking at, or options we were looking at, is to replace the roof while at the same time taking the opportunity to replace the HVAC systems within the back end of the structure. That was important because the HVAC systems are 18 years plus, and they are running on refrigerant that is no longer manufactured, and the list goes on and on when it comes to the repairs and the costs associated with that. With that being an opportunity, we were originally looking at a $1.8 million project, which was brought before the board as a number. Again, we took that advice, we went back to the drawing board and see how we can reduce that, but also take into consideration how we're operating as a whole and distributed across the county as far as what's being leased, what's our facilities, and this played a role in that. With this being a leased facility, we thought it was to the value to consider the HVAC. However, after looking at the cost and the feasibility, the recommendation would be looking at just replacing the roof itself. And to replace it would be the $654,000. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein?
Yes, sir. I think this needs to have more discussion. I'm not so sure this is even worth bogging ourselves down with this. I totally do not like the idea of putting that kind of money into a leased building. I do not like that. That, in my opinion, that money I think could be better spent going another direction. But I honestly think that, I mean, I could probably talk about that quite a bit. And I'm not so sure from my standpoint that it's a good thing.
Chairman and members of the board, and you're absolutely right, sir. One of the considerations for this project is this property is owned by the Miami School District, and we have a 20-year lease with them, and part of the lease calls for it's an unusual part of the lease, but it calls for a roof to be of sound condition on that particular structure. So that's one of the reasons why we're looking into this, because that roof is leaking in multiple areas. So it's sort of part of our lease, which is one of the considerations with Mr. Menlove when we were talking about this is let's put the 1.5 to 1.8 million for the HVAC, not into the building at this particular time, possibly looking at other alternatives in the future, and then just take a look at doing the roof replacement so we can get some of the water leaks repaired in the structure.
So I guess what you're saying is we have no option but to do a roof.
We need a new roof on that building. It's part of our lease.
You didn't answer my question.
I'll leave that up to the attorney, sir. But our lease does call for the roof of sound condition.
How old is that lease, Michael?
It was a 20-year lease, and I think we have 5 or 6 years.
And so that was in the discussion 15 years ago? That they would.
I'm not sure how that lease was signed prior to my.
It makes me wonder if they didn't realize there's issues with that roof when they signed the lease.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Are we in renegotiations for another 20 years? I mean, if we got 5 years left, that's $100,000 per year we have left to give them a new roof.
Yeah, so we've been having conversations with County Manager and Mr. Menlove as to all their alternatives, because if you take a look at that building, it's a large complex with a lot of Gila County employees, and what do we do with those employees? Where do we put them? So there's a lot of considerations for that particular project. We have the health department, we have fiduciary, we have elections, we have community services, we have a lot of employees.
Right, and I guess that was my question, if we're gonna put a new roof, And I was just wondering about negotiations for a new contract going forward.
Certainly when the lease
For
ends,
lease.
the lease would have to be brought up in front of the board for approval prior to us getting into a new lease, which would go through the county attorney's office as well. So
Okay, yeah, no,
I believe at this time the cost for that, Miami School District leases it to $1 a year, I believe. We also have some other structural issues with that complex too. We have some large trees in the middle of that are uprooting some of the bricks, posing some tripping hazards and those kinds of things that we'd like to take care of as well.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Chair, I was just curious to our continuance with that building, putting new roof on it, that's it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, let's keep going, Joseph.
Next on the list is the courthouse electrical. This is another location that we did an electrical assessment and evaluation on, but this is also an item that we've had a lot of discussions on throughout the past. Again, similar challenge that we're running into out at the fairgrounds. Most of the electrical infrastructure at the courthouse is in disrepair. The one that is functioning, the portions that are functioning are still outdated quite a bit. With that being said, we've had electrical issues where our switchgear have gone down. And in order to get that component, we've had to reach out across the nation and to different locations out of Texas, Florida. I think we finally got switchgear that would fit ours. With that being said, it wasn't quite refurbished. It was used again, refurbished, and then sold to us, because that's about the only way we can get that. When we talk about the switchgear and some of the concerns that come along with it, if we lose a switchgear, it's not just one electrical component that gets put down throughout the courthouse. You're typically looking at half a floor, several HVAC systems. And when I say half a floor, you can lose all the lighting. You can lose the power to the operations side, whether it's computers or printers. So that just kind of gives you an order of magnitude when it comes to the electrical infrastructure. That, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Supervisor Klein.
What do you suppose that would cost us, Joseph, if this building goes down for 3 days?
It would be significant, sir.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, we have a lot of things relying on that light staying on in this building. And that's what I was asking you earlier about priorities, you know, because I've had this one in the back of my mind. It's like, you look at things and we can get by here, we can get by there, we can put things off, make things work. But when those lights go out and with the equipment that you're talking about that they don't make anymore, so you can't find parts, it could be a substantial time that this building could be down. And being the county seat, courthouse, everything that's involved in this building, I don't know that we can take that chance. I'm just saying, but I think that's one that makes the top of the list for me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I just, you know, when you say $3 million, does that mean 400 million or 4 million instead of 3 million? Because that's an estimate. Is that an estimate by a contractor that would repair this, or is that just kind of pulled out of a estimating book?
Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, that is a very good question. That's something that we constantly run into a challenge with. There's several ways that we attempt to get those, just as you mentioned. This particular estimate is a rough order of magnitude. It is several people put together with that engineering assessment and put this number together. But to your point, it could vary significantly from this. This is definitely an estimate.
Yeah, because being in remodels most of my life, you start opening cans of worms and it grows real fast, because if you upgrade the equipment, is the wire going to hold the new upgrade. I could see our whole $5 million going in rewiring the courthouse. But, yeah, because there's gonna be downtime, because there's times they can't work on it, because we have to operate, so if they're working on weekends only, yeah, what a mess. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So, I'll just slip this in. So we've got a lot of zeros going on, and not anyone's fault that's here at all, but I think that if we have equipment and pavement, roof, and electrical that's so outdated that now we have these outrageous numbers, that it would be better to have a plan going forward where we continue to maintain things rather than have the whole thing fall apart in the same year, kind of thing, you know? So it's not your fault, but it's like when all the pavement is bad, when all the roofs are bad, and when all the electric needs to be replaced, we can't do that. So then we have to prioritize. And I'd rather see us try and have a budget going forward to say, look, in the next 6 years, we need to do this pavement project before it gets really bad. Anyway, that's just a suggestion.
Yes, sir. So the good news is over the past year or two, we have been transitioning our maintenance into a preventative model. We still have a lot of work to do, but we've already started to see those numbers improving stepping into this year.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going, Joseph.
Good. All right. As you can imagine, same location, high priority, courthouse paving. The paving improvement project, we've had this before the board before. This is something that this entire chamber has been crossing on a day-to-day. There's a significant amount of risk management that is tied into that. But even when we just look at it from anyone just getting injured, we've had a couple of injuries just this past year. With that, we're looking at resurfacing the parking lot, essentially the entire complex. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
We're out of money.
The good news is, sir, we limited it to 14.
Okay.
Next one is the courthouse elevator. Over the past couple of years, the elevator, we've experienced a significant downtime, specifically the south elevator. That is the main point of access for any ADA going to the additional floors, whether it's down below or above. Again, this runs into the same issue as what we've just all described and communicated in the past. It's outdated. The equipment that we're we're limping along with a lot of our repairs. The repairs are becoming more significant and the downtime is becoming more significant. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
I have no questions.
We don't have a choice on this either, right? Because ADA says we have to accommodate, the courts or whatever it is. So, am I not correct?
You are correct. We do have, I just wanted to note, we do have another elevator. However, it's not a main point of access because it goes to the court's operations. So we still have an alternative, but again, we have to start, it's a huge workaround. It takes someone, 2 or 3 staff to get that person walked around, escorted. It's quite an ordeal.
Okay.
Next is the courthouse roof replacement. Some of the same challenges that we run across the board again. This one is just a different part of the infrastructure. We have multiple leaks throughout the roof, several points of damage. We've gone through, I think it was 5 this year for repairs from contracting and also from internal. So with that, the membrane to the courthouse, we would be looking at replacing. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
So we have a metal roof.
So it is mixed. So,
It's mixed.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So over the flat surface here, we have the membrane.
And that's the portion you're speaking of.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
Would you just go back with the membrane? I bet you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Yes, sir. We're pretty much held to it. There are some other alternatives, but my recommendation would be go with the membrane. The good news is they've been developed, they've improved over the years, so what we'd be putting on there would be a superior product compared to what we have up there. And not just the quality, but the warranties on them.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm not a big fan of flat roofs. Is it structured to where there could be some pitch for that prior to putting a roof? So it's not just being a swimming pool, hoping that it holds water?
Yes, sir. We can take a look at that and see if we can create a pitch with
Yeah,
it.
because you got parapet walls around it, correct?
Say again, I'm sorry?
You got parapet walls around most of the roof?
Yes.
So it's a big swimming pool with a liner.
Yes, sir.
So, and it holds water until it evaporates because there's not much of a drain. And so,
Correct. It
I'm
is
just
doable.
wondering if we're gonna do it, if it's not structurally designed to where we could put a pitch to it, to go to our scuppers rather than just hoping it gets there. I mean, if we're gonna spend, 450, why not spend 600 and not have to Band-Aid it again in another few years?
Roger that. I appreciate that input. Would be happy to take a look at it.
Okay.
All right, next we step into the HVAC systems. Again, we run into some of the similar challenges. Good news, over the past 2 years, we've already replaced 3. One of them was predictive. The other 2 systems went down. Again, this is one of the challenges that this board has been able to see. We had a mobile HVAC system and this system went down. That's one of the challenges that we run into is long lead times when it comes to equipment like this. So the more we can be predictive, we can identify these units, get them replaced. Again, we go by different key performance indicators such as the refrigerant, the year, how old it is, the condition it is, how many times we've been doing maintenance on it, how many call outs, and how much downtime we've had with that system. Also, part of that criticality is what it controls. The entire courthouse remains a priority. However, there are certain systems, whether it's going to our critical infrastructure in IT or this boardroom, that's what we're looking at prioritizing with the 250.
Okay. Supervisor Klein.
What do you say, James? We just take out a bond to just go over this building from one end to the other?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, that is, first is grant money that we'll seek for all these projects. And other than that, we will look for all the options that we have of paying for these needed repairs.
You know what Supervisor Humphrey said is correct. Once you tie into something like electrical, like you're wanting to do, there's no telling what that's gonna cost us. There just really isn't. And
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add, since I've got a chance here, that I don't want to bemoan what has been in the past, but a lot of times if we just kick the can down the road and don't necessarily address them here with Joseph and his team, we're bringing these out in public, having this open discussion. Appreciate the open discussion is to identify these things and identify that they are projects that need to be done. And we have to prioritize them and then go out and find the money, like I said. But yeah, it's not been handled well in the past. And we're trying to correct that, as Joseph said, and be progressive and look forward to fixing these things and then having a deferred maintenance schedule. Painful to get over that.
I totally agree with you. It's just that everything is just kind of accumulated to where we are today. I mean, we talk about the building with the new roof, the school building. We talk about this building. We have a jail system that's just a mess. I mean, we just hit just right to be on this board to deal with this. I think what it was.
We're looking for your input, your direction, any of your thoughts today, so that we can put together a package and then bring back at a future date, probably several months, to look at all of our different options of what we do, how we go about doing it, and how we pay for it all. That, of course, I've heard very loud and clear for all the time that you have been on the board, that we're not raising taxes.
No.
We are not going, we need to live within our means that we have, and we're not going to increase taxes. And it's up to us to take care of this within what means we have available.
I think those discussions need to be sooner than later also, James. I mean, the further we put things off, I know how it is, scheduling meetings and whatnot, but we're talking months, couple months, 3 months, whatever it is. But sooner we can have these discussions, in my opinion, the better off we are going to be. I mean, we've already been years getting to the point where we are right now. I mean, and now in some areas it's pretty critical. So we really need to step in there and address some of this and see what we can do.
Mr. Chairman, Sir Roger Klein, there are certain projects that might be easier to get federal grants or grants from other locations. And so if we've got a certain amount of money, $5 million, and then we will, on an ongoing basis, commit a part of each annual budget to capital expenses. So between that, but if there are certain of these projects that it's easier for us to get grants to pay for them, then we will certainly want to identify those, then bring those back and go full force to get those grants.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So you guys, I gotta bail out of here. I gotta be in Phoenix here pretty quick, so I gotta go. And Joseph, thank you for doing all this.
Yes, sir.
And whatever help me and Kathy can be to you guys, just holler, and it'll be good. I really wanted to stay to hear how many roads we could do today, but that'll be for next time anyway. So I gotta go, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor. And so, Joseph, my thoughts again, we have a very, very challenging course forward because we have a lot of buildings, pavement, and all of that. We have the TCM building, which is new. And so we don't want to neglect that for 20 years in order to pay for something else. So when we have something that's already a gem, we need to maintain that as a gem and try and figure out, we have a broken car, what's the most important thing to fix on our car so we can keep going? And it may not be a new paint job. It could be more or less getting new tires or the things that make it safe and going forward. We're not going to be able to fix this thing all at once, but that's okay as long as we have a plan. So, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, so keep it going.
All right, so the last two, we can go ahead and bundle those up. Again, they're very familiar projects. It's the Sheriff's Office jail paving and the Central Heights paving. The big highlight out of this one is, just like our previous discussion about Central Heights, there is a lease agreement with that. With that being said, it was very specific just to the roof, like Michael was talking, but something to keep in mind when we operate out of there, there is a degree of risk management anytime someone steps on our grounds. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I do have some questions. One, HVACs we've replaced, electrical we've done maintenance on, roofs we've done maintenance on. I'm gonna call that limp money, because that's just limping us along until we can do something better. Where's that limp money come from? Is that general fund? Do you have a budget for limp money? Where does our limp money come from?
So, Chairman Supervisor Humphrey, it's a hybrid, it's a combination. So out of our maintenance budget, there's certain thresholds that we've identified that we spend within our discretion for maintenance. However, once we cross other thresholds, roughly 25,000, sometimes 4,000, depending on how it lands within the maintenance matrix for us. With that, we also reach out for support from the administration for any capital support. More specifically, a very large HVAC system costing 50,000 plus, we definitely have to reach out for support on
Okay, and the reason I'm asking is because I've got these papers laying all over here, just trying to look through them all. And we're gonna need a lot of limp money, because there's no way out of $5 million, we can fix some of this. And, so I guess from a maintenance point of view, your decision would be a lot, but what I'm thinking is the electrical is probably one of the big things. It's one of our most expensive. But if it all of a sudden goes out, emergencies are really expensive, especially when you have a courthouse that won't run. And so all this other stuff, the pumping, the repair of the roof, the patching of the maintenance, the whatever, is gonna be limp money. So not only do we have to kind of pick our best project for the bang for our buck, but we're also gonna have to look at what can we limp the best with the money that we have available. I mean, that's my 2 cents worth. Fairgrounds, I would love to have it. I'd love to have at least phase 1, but when you're looking at wiring for a courthouse and things of that nature, that seems to be the biggest burden and the most catastrophic if it goes out. And so the rest is gonna be limp money, in my opinion. And I guess we have to look at our limp money as well for projects, because this one's costing us a lot of money per year, and this one's only costing us so much. So, okay, what's our next project after our biggest catastrophe project? And to me, that's just my 2 cents worth, because we don't need any major emergencies, and if we can patch a roof, it's not falling. But if we have an electrical go out and we can't find replacement parts, then we just turned a $3 million into a $6 million, because it's an emergency and they're having to work 24/7. So if we're having work sessions to communicate, that's my communication. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. So Joseph, if I were to identify any sort of a priority, it would not be any of your specific projects saying, let's do this one or that one. It would have to be filtered through what situation is the most dangerous to the public that would cause us to have lawsuits, which project would be the most needed presently so that we don't fail in our services, like say the electricity goes out or whatever. But also $3 million for the electrical system here in this building, maybe we don't need to spend it all in one fell swoop. If we can do half of it first and another half, depending on what the magnitude of the projects are, do it over 3 years or whatever, and prioritize it that way. And also, the third would be the most egregious thing that may be in the structure that looks like it might fail at the next storm or anything like that. In other words, leaking roofs are no good, and we can patch them, but I think if we start prioritizing from most important or dangerous to down the scale to most convenient, then we can work our way through that. But until I know how much money we have or how much money we can possibly have, it's kind of hard to say which project would be the first one to do. I feel a little bit the same if we're leasing a building, how much money we're going to be putting into that. Or now, did someone say that we're leasing that Central Heights for $1? Okay. So, and now I understand why we have to pay for everything. So, basically they're saying it's yours to use. So you maintain it, you keep it up. Okay. Anything else, Supervisor? You have any more to offer us, Joseph?
That is everything.
Okay. Is there any more that we need to talk about, James, so that you kind of understand the direction we're going?
I think what we'll do is have Joseph and his team put together priorities that we can review with each of you, and kind of the whys and what fors, and then we'll identify along with that the priorities of potential funding and wherever we might draw from, including the 5 million of LATCF grants and wherever it might be to attach those together
Okay.
so that we can bring that to you and then maybe make decisions based on that additional information.
Thank you. And I assume that we're working on making sure we spend all of the ARPA money before the deadline.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Great. Okay, thank you, Joseph. Appreciate it.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors.
You have some
appreciate it.
challenges.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
up for it.
All right. Okay, we're down to our last item, 2G, information discussion regarding the ongoing planning and future public works department revenues, expenditures, and projects. And Homero.
Good morning, Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey. We'll get to the facts of what our presentation. It's somewhat of an annual report, and we're going to be touching revenues, road projects, flood mitigation projects, Townside Act, and our employees. And I will have county engineer help me with a couple of the slides, and Deputy Director of Public Works, Melanie, help me with a couple of slides as well. So we'll get right into it, and we're going to start with talking about revenue. And this first slide is showing the 3 buckets of money that we get for road maintenance, if you will. And I'm going to focus on the first couple of slides on roads, and then we'll get into flood and other issues, but we're going to be talking about roads for the first couple of slides. The 3 buckets of money includes excise tax. Excise tax, we estimate is going to finish out fiscal year 24 at $2.3 million. That's about an 8% increase over the previous year, and that's the blue text that you see up there. The yellow text is the vehicle license tax. That's $1.3 million that we would complete the year with, or about a 1% increase over the previous year. HERF, which is the bigger amount of money, is $5.4 million, is what we estimate we're going to finish off fiscal year 24, and that's about a 6% increase over the previous years, for a total of about $9 million for all 3 buckets, and a 6% increase over the previous year. And that's basically what I would consider good news, okay? And so I'm going to go to the next slide, and it's good to see good news, because if we look back over time, 18 years is what this slide shows. It shows us that over this 18-year time frame, our mileage has gone up about 55, 56 miles. It's gone from 701 to 757. That's about a 7% increase that we've added 2 or 3 miles on average each of those years. At the same time, inflation has gone up about 51%. For what we could buy for $1 18 years ago, now it takes $1.51. So inflation's gone up, road mileage has gone up, but our revenues to maintain these roads only went up 0.2% over that 18-year time frame. And part of the reason lies that we lost some excise tax when it sunset for the first cycle, and then when our constituents voted it back in 2015, we shared half of that excise tax with the cities and towns. But you see that excise tax, like excise tax and HERP, have grown considerably over that time frame, whereas the vehicle license tax remains basically flat. So I'll go to the next slide. This one slide here is showing a couple of years of actuals, fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23. I'll walk you down fiscal year 22 as an example. Revenues was $9.7 million. It's actually more than the chart that I just showed you, because it includes now some of the grant money on the revenue side for fiscal year 22 and 23. Salaries were in the $3+ million range, 3.3 in 22 and 3.6 in 23. This is not a budget number. This is the actual that we paid. Operating supplies were in the $2 million range. The amount that we spent on capital, you see $3 million in fiscal year 22. 1.8 of that was to pay for our local share for the bridge. Okay, 1.8 million. We were helped out by general fund. General fund also pitched in a similar amount at that time. okay? And you can see that then the capital transportation improvements decreased to $1 million the following year in fiscal year 23, which is more typical of our spending for capital over the last years. Capital equipment, you see, we probably bought a couple of motor graders in 22, and we didn't buy any heavy equipment in fiscal year 23. And the difference, you see that in both cases, our revenues exceeded our expenditures. In the first case, fiscal year 22 by 755,000, and then in fiscal year 23 by over $2 million. Okay? So we have a carry balance each of those years. In fiscal year 22, we started off with $12.6 million. Because our revenues exceeded our expenditures, we left with $3.4 million, more money than what we came in with. And then similar story in fiscal year 23, we came in the year with a little over $13 million, and we left that year with $15 million, a little bit over $15 million. So we have this current year, we plan to spend on capital transportation a little over $2 million. We spent $535,000 on equipment. We actually have a positive difference between revenues and expenditures of $300,000. And so we're starting the year with $15.7, and we're going to leave the year with a little over $16 million. Having $16 million in the bank and having inflation grow as it has is not necessarily a good thing. We should have some reserve money. We believe $15 million is too much, and we'd like to spend that money over time in a wise fashion over the next 3-4 years, not all in one year. Actually, we're limited by how much capital work we can do by our resources, but we should spend that money wisely over time, taking care of our paved roads, making sure that we've got material pits, etc. And that's what we plan to do. So fiscal year 25, we've actually had a lot of projects in the funnel, and they're all coming to fruition in fiscal year 25, or many of them are coming to fruition in fiscal year 25. We plan on spending actually a little over $3 million of our own money in fiscal year 25. And Tom Goodman will go over exactly what those projects are, but he'll also share with you another bucket of money, which is the grant money that we're able to get with some seed money that we have that is 5 times as much as the amount that we're spending, the $3 million. And he'll get to those two charts. And that's an interesting story because we are using seed money to generate bigger chunks of money. Later on, I'll show you a chart that says it costs about $1 million to pave a road today, okay? And we really can't, we've got 200 miles of paved roads, a little bit less than 200 miles. I'll show you the exact numbers, I think 187, 189. We can't afford to pave these roads. And if we want to pave a new road, let's say we wanted to pave the Control Road, if we want to take care of Russell Road, if we want to pave Young Road, we're going to have to go after grant money to do that. It's not going to come out of our 3 buckets that we just talked about. It's just not possible. So you see fiscal year 25 up here, which is a budget, our budget that we're working on right now, talks about revenues in the order of $9 million. It talks about salaries of $4.5 million for fiscal year 25. That's about 50% of our revenues. But we haven't spent $4.5 million in salaries in the last 4 years as you look back across time in the last 3 years, and that's because of the vacancies. Today, we have about a 20% vacant rate today as far as the road department is concerned. So if we budget $4.5 million, you can say unless you fill those vacancies, you're only going to spend 80% of that. And the 4.5 also includes some inflationary pressures. Hopefully there's some money that we can use to improve what we pay people in fiscal year 25, and it takes that into account for that number. It also has a large number for operating supplies. We're going to be crack sealing close to 18 miles in fiscal year 25, just like we're doing in fiscal year 24. That's exactly about 1/10 of the paved road miles that we have. And that's our target. We want to chip seal 10% of our paved roads every year, if needed. There may come a time when we say, hey, we don't need to do 18 miles. They're in excellent shape. Fine, we'll do whatever needs to be done that year. But between now and that point, we'd like to do about 18 miles a year. And you're going to see a chart that talks about that in a little bit. And with chip sealing, there's crack sealing, there's shoulder work. We would like to fog seal our roads, and then we'd like to stripe them. We'd like to stripe all our paved roads, or most of our paved roads, but for as many of the chip seal roads as possible. For equipment, we're planning on spending $1.3 million this coming year on equipment, including a motor grader and a dump truck, and you'll see a slide on that. The difference is a negative number. Our expenditures are gonna exceed our revenue, and we're gonna eat away a little bit at our carry forward. We're gonna come in the year at $16 million, and if we're successful at completing the projects that we just talked about, we would leave the year with $12.6 million going forward. And so then the last column is a model year. Once we start to eat away at this carry forward, we need to start living within our means, and that's what that model year tries to say. That in the absence of grant monies, we have to live with those three buckets that we just talked about: excise tax, HERP, and vehicle license tax. And so that model year shows you that we would have some monies available for capital improvement, some monies available for equipment, and that we probably ought to be carrying forward $5 million in the bank, so that if an opportunity came to find a grant that we want to do work with this particular grant, that we would have seed money to support and make that grant submittal more competitive. And so that's the purpose of the model year, okay, to show us if we have to live within our means, then that's the way we would have to behave. We're not that far from that today, okay? We're basically at that level. So the next chart that I wanted to show you, and stop me if you have questions, please, okay? I consider that last chart one of the more important charts because it gets us to start thinking about how we would behave at some point in the future. We've been fortunate that we've saved money. We've saved money, as you saw, because we budgeted a large amount for salaries and wages, or an amount for salaries and wages, and then we only spend a fraction of it. But hopefully we're able to fill our positions sometime in the future and take care of our roads as we want to take care of our roads. A couple of bits of information on this chart that are important. On the blue box that you see at the top, you show that Forest Service, 458 miles out of 757. That's about 60% of our miles are in the Forest Service, okay? And we can't forget that. We have to, every time we talk with the Forest Service, we remind them of that we're maintaining, and often because we want to, because there's communities that we support out in the forest, and they offer recreational opportunities, etc. But there should be an ongoing partnership with the Forest Service. I believe there is. I just believe that it's not sufficient enough, that Forest Service ought to be helping out even more than what they already do. The other chart that you see here is the frequency of when we should crack seal, chip seal, and reconstruct our paved roads, and when we ought to re-gravel our roads, because maintaining a gravel road is not just running a motor grader on it. Sooner or later, you have to add material to it. I mean, that's just a fact. And so we also show a cost per mile, and this is the same chart that I shared last year. I looked at it, and I felt that it was sufficiently close that I was going to leave it as it was. And it shows like $1 million a mile to reconstruct the road. I've showed you two pieces of information. One is $9 million of revenues that we get from our three buckets, and 757 miles of roads that we have to maintain. So if you wanted to look at this from the biggest picture possible, you take 9 million and divide it by 757, and you end up with $12,000 a mile, okay, for each of those miles that we maintain. That's a very big picture because there's engineering costs, there's GIS costs, there's vegetation control costs, and a lot of other things. But if you just wanted to look at those two numbers, $12,000 a mile, and then you look at $1 million a mile to pave a road, that you're saving 83 years before you can save $1 million at $12,000 on an annual basis. And so paving a road for us is going to be, I think, more difficult in the future. we are doing the chip sealing. We're learning how to do a double chip seal. We're gonna do our own double chip seal in Young this year. We're gonna watch Cactus do a Gila Road double chip seal, and Cactus also do a Forest Service Road Control Road double chip seal. We're using a MAG standard, and we're paying attention to what others are doing so we can learn to do the double chip seals ourselves so that they last, so that they're efficient. And in the rare cases where we do need to pave roads, we need to go find grant money for paving roads. Kind of like an opinion on my part as we tried to put a strategy together around how to maintain our paved roads. Question?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may. Yeah, question is, with us doing our own chip seal, not a double chip seal, just regular chip seal, what do we save a mile by doing it ourselves versus bidding it out?
We don't have an exact number for what it would cost for somebody to do a chip seal per mile. We do have an example for you. A double chip seal is gonna cost us around $500,000, okay? We can do a single chip seal at $75,000 a mile, and that would include the labor, the equipment, and the material. The material cost for doing a single chip seal is in the order of $40,000 a mile, depending on the width of the road. So we do a single chip seal for 40,000, and that's a preventative measure that we take on our paved roads instead of doing a total reconstruct, which is to pave the road, which again I think is no longer really an option for us. We need to learn how to do a double chip seal and do it to the best of our ability till we have a quasi paved road that behaves like a paved road that we can maintain because we're able to do the chip sealing in-house. Now, again, we will be learning how to do the double chip seals ourselves, or relearning. I think that in Gila County, it's been done in the past, many years ago. We're gonna start with Young doing a couple of double chip seals ourselves, and we're gonna watch others do it this year, and I think we'll be able to learn from all of that activity. It didn't quite answer your question, but I took a shot at it.
But it seems significant.
It's very significant when we do our chip seal.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Chair.
we have a coplaner. We've done some work where we actually milled some sections of a road this year here in the Globe area. We're gonna take advantage of that. Maybe in the future, instead of having Cactus come in and pulverize the pavement and then prepare the subgrade and then do a double chip seal for us like they're doing on Gila, maybe we hire somebody to either pulverize it or we use that coplaner to pulverize short sections. And then we can do the subgrade with our team, and then we can do a double chip seal ourselves. That would be the idea, one of the ideas going forward, to make sure that we stretch the money so that we do have some money in the bank in case a grant opportunity shows up and we need to be competitive. Okay. And so this is, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. It shows for the next 5 years that we're chip sealing in an average of about 18 miles per year. That's the target that we set. The team has gone out. The team is learning how to do pavement condition. They call it a pavement condition index, PCI. Steve Williams sent out an email to the team, sharing with them a little spreadsheet. The team's excited about actually going out and gauging the condition of the road. Pavement condition index takes a scale from 100 to 0, where 100 is a brand new road, 0 is a road that's in total disrepair. And at the beginning of its life cycle, you try to do a slurry seal. Later on, you crack seal, and then you chip seal repeatedly, keeping the road in that condition for as long as you can, until perhaps 40, 50, 60 years later, you may need to reconstruct it. But anyway, this is a team effort to prepare this slide. The team is motivated to do chip seals. As you know, they were working on chip seals, I think it was last week, and they go back to chip sealing up in the Payson area in the coming weeks. It takes a team effort by everybody, very intense, and I think in some ways, for me, it's rewarding, and hopefully for the team members, they feel a sense of reward based on the accomplishment. At this time, I'm gonna turn it over to Tom, and he's gonna talk about a couple of slides, and then I'll be back.
Thank you, Merrill. Okay, next slide, please. Good afternoon, Chairman Christensen, Supervisor Humphrey, and okay. So I'll go over some specific projects, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. So this is county-funded projects, so this is where we have county funds involved. First one is Golden Hill Phase 2. I call it the final phase. This project has been awarded by ADOT. We're responsible for 5.7% for design and construction, and we estimate it'll be $35,000 in the coming fiscal year. Wallaman Road design and chip seal. In this coming fiscal year, we estimate $300,000 of county funds. Round Valley Gibson Ranch Road, that has, it is advertised now. We got approval from the board to advertise that at the last meeting. And we're estimating construction will be about $1.3 million. Six Shooter Road is won't happen in this coming fiscal year, but we estimate $650,000 in FY26, and that's just for repairs to keep the road sound in case we have some big storms. We don't want to lose that road. And then we are also pursuing the WFPO program through NRCS, and we see that as coming in FY27. Pine Creek Cemetery, or Pine Cemetery and Princess Roads chip seal, $350,000 in the coming fiscal year. Mesa Dell, Phase 3, in FY27, FY28, we have $500,000 and $560,000 for that. Monroe Street, we just got the bid ready package. We'll be bringing that to the board here in June for permission to advertise for construction. We're estimating it's going to be a little bit over $1 million, and that'll be 40% general fund, and then the rest will be HERF fund or excise tax. So about $650,000 we're estimating on that. Gila Road chip seal project. They're going to start on that one this coming Monday, a week from yesterday, and so we estimate about $50,000 in FY25. That'll just be the final payment. Most of the payments will be made this fiscal year. Young Road design, we need to take that from 60 to 100%. We took it to 60% with the EA that's currently underway. And so we're estimating $300,000 to take that to 100% design. And then we will be ready to look for opportunities to start paving that. The material pits, EA, we have a slide here in just a little bit on that one, but we got some money from the Tonto National Forest, but our part will be $167,890 in this coming fiscal year. We have some bridge projects, the next few ones, the Bloody Tanks Wash Bridge, scoping and design, just a little bit under $9,000 for that one. And then we're looking at several other bridge projects for rehab. We don't have the exact fiscal year figured out for those, but that's why you're seeing the question marks. That's East Verde, Pine Creek, and the road yard offices, Tonto and Young. So with that, that is in FY26, and that's just to do some upgrades to those buildings. And then it's just for road construction to be determined. We've put $1 million into FY26, 27, 28, and 29. And then you're looking at the last row there for the totals. FY25 about 3.16 million, and then you can see what the numbers there for the remaining 4 fiscal years. So next slide, please.
Excuse me, Tom,
Yes,
before
sir.
we move on, the Young Road, 300,000 for the design.
Correct.
Did we receive money for that already? And have we spent all that money, or?
So
I
we
remember
received-
in my mind,
Yeah.
we got some federal money to do the design work.
Yeah, we got federal money to do the EA, and that takes it to 60% design. As part of the EA, the environmental analysis, that automatically will take it to 60%.
Okay, so and that was 400 some thousand.
Yes. and-
Now, and so we didn't have enough money to do 100% of it.
Right, so we
Okay.
want to take it from 60 to 100%, so that's what we're looking at.
It was not included. What was meant, what we were meant to do with that money was to do the EA, and in order to get the EA done, yes, they have to design it to 60%. So that's what they were supposed to do. We know they're only gonna get it to 60%, but to go to grant submittal, we need 100%, and so if they're supposed to be done in September, we wanna pick it up right where they left off, and then say, just finish the design with this additional money, so that we can be ready to go out for grants as soon as possible.
Okay, thanks. And so, as per usual, it's overly complex. Yeah.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
next
if I may.
slide. Okay, so
And,
this slide,
Tom, hold on, I got a question for you. On the Bloody Tanks Wash Bridge, scoping design, is that Mackey Camp? Is that
yes.
Schultz Road? Okay,
And so what happened here is.
so it's not
Alex-
Mackey Camp,
Yeah,
it's Schultz
It's not
Road.
Mackey Camp.
Okay,
And it's just a scoping. It's just to find out if it's feasible for us to do something. Monies were available, and our senior county engineer jumped on the opportunity on both on this one as well as the other bridge, Tonto Village Bridge, is that it? There's another bridge where monies were available, and he was able to get them, and so he applied for them and got them, and it was an opportunity to get a grant that was within our reach.
okay, I was just wondering where you're gonna bridge that wash system.
Okay, so this is the next slide. So this slide kind of shows grants that are grants that we have gotten and grants that we will be pursuing. So I mentioned the Golden Hill sidewalk. So we have a grant for $615,000, and that should cover design and construction. And that's an ADOT grant. Tano Village Bridge, again ADOT. So $270,000, and then in the future, we'll be looking for another $500,000 on that one. East Verde Bridge, Pine Creek Bridge, we'll be looking for ADOT grants to help us with those. Again, those two are undetermined. The Bloody Tanks Wash Bridge, scoping and design. We have a grant, $141,450 in the coming fiscal year. Russell Road, we have a SMART grant. That'll be ADOT administered, and that grant was just over $1 million, and that'll in the coming fiscal year. Russell Road reconstruction, undetermined at this time. We are actively looking for opportunities to construct that. We do have the money for design. We don't have the money for construction. Control Road HSIP project. That project is underway. Actually started today. That was the one Homero mentioned that we're going to do a double chip seal on, and so we have $682,000 for that. Houston Mesa Road. That project has been awarded by ADOT. We're just waiting for the pre-construction meeting to get started, and that was about $3.16 million. Control Road, Wood Spring Pines. We have $2 million grant from the Tonto National Forest. We just finished 100% design on that, so we'll be taking that one to the board for permission to advertise for construction. Material Pit EAs. This is the, again, Tonto gave us $163,000 for that, for those EAs, and we have a slide here in just a bit on that one. The Young Road EA, that was the one we mentioned. That's going to be the EA and take it to 60% design, $472,000. Young Road construction. So once we get that to 100%,
we're gonna be looking for grant opportunities to start paving the sections of that. Control road asphalt treatment, again, that one is undetermined. 6-Shooter Road, the WFPO program under NRCS is undetermined, but we're moving forward with NRCS on that one. Russell Gulch Wash, that is the different funds, $2.64 million. We just have to get our temporary construction easements and drainage easements squared away, and then we'll be ready to advertise for construction. Campaign Creek buyout, $2 million. We are, hopefully that will be in FY25, move forward with that buyout. And then we have $3 million ready to go with the campaign, Campaign Creek flood mitigation. So that'll be kind of focused on that north bank. We'll be looking for ways to design some improvements there. So that's total is about $16.19 million in FY25. And then the rest of the slide just kind of goes over what I've already touched on about where the different opportunities there for grants are coming from. Any questions?
Oh, I don't. Thank you very much. Looks like you've got a lot of plates in the air here to juggle. So appreciate you keeping up on all of that and reaching for grants. And so thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
So part of the story on those two slides was we commit to $3.1 million of our own money to take care of roads that we should take care of roads. And at the same time, we're enjoying over $16 million of somebody else's money, whether it's ADOT's money, whether it's state money. And while we're doing that, we all of a sudden are working on flood mitigation projects. Russell Gulch, the DFFM money that we're getting for Russell Gulch, the team worked hard to convert that from that it was just local share to pay for NRCS to no, we need it now that we've lost NRCS, we'd like to have that money and we'd like to use it for that area from the hospital to where Hospital Drive intersects Russell Road. And that was a great opportunity to keep that money and not lose it. But again, it's the future for Public Works and perhaps even the rest of Gila County is to be looking for grant monies. And you could see where we've got undetermined on some of these charts. We need to start looking for where we're going to get some of these monies. And there's three big projects that from my perspective, Russell Road, Young Road, Control Road. Those three areas, we spend money, spend a lot of our effort blading those roads. They ought to be paved. They have the traffic volume to support them being paved. And of course, we need to restore Russell Road to give our constituency that second way to get around. So anyway, I'll go on to the next slide. It's heavy equipment. In the previous slide, you saw something like $700,000 for heavy equipment in the model year. That's buying 2 pieces of large equipment. We have about 30 pieces of equipment here on this slide. And some of them, 4 motor graders are older than 30 years and 3 10-wheeler dump trucks are older than 30 years. This year, in fiscal year 24, we're replacing C15 it's a 1992 10-wheel dump truck. 1982, I'm sorry, 10-wheel dump truck. And we're also replacing a vehicle that got totaled that's a little newer than that, 1998 C71. And going forward, we're going to buy in fiscal year 25 one more 10-wheeler, and we're going to replace the 1978 C29 that's there. Motor grader, we're going to buy a new motor grader this year, and we're going to replace a vehicle that was 1983 on a motor grader. So we are going to buy some equipment this year, fiscal year 25, this coming year, including like a skidster, a chipper, a transport truck, and miscellaneous trucks. all equipment that's needed. When the equipment, we are gonna try to auction this equipment instead of necessarily turning it over to our vendor. And gives us an opportunity, to replace some of the equipment, the chipper and the skid steer, help us with vegetation control that, we need to get, a little bit more, efficient on. So, you've seen this chart before, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time. There's four, material pits here. One that we're gonna expand, Raymer. 824 is a new one, and the other two are Braddock and Castle Dome. They're important pits for us. If you would ask yourself, how does the county manage with the amount of revenues that we get from the three buckets, maintaining 757 miles? Because I'm here to tell you that in Navajo County, they got the same miles, but they got $12 million to spend. How do we manage? How have we managed? Even better than that, how have we managed and have a carry balance that's positive? And I think part of the reason is the material pits. Not that the material is free, we still have to extract it. And so we recently crushed some material at Young, at the Young material pit, and it cost us $10 a ton to do that, okay? It cost us time to extract it if we're not crushing it. If we don't crush it, then we're using a grizzly to separate the material. Either way, there's a cost. But for us, the roads that are Forest Service roads, we have to pay double or triple that amount because of the transportation cost if we were to buy it from someone else. And so not just because the material is available from a Forest Service pit, but because the pits are located across the county, we get the benefit of both of those on the cost of the material, okay? So it's very important for us. We talked long and hard to the Forest Service about us having to carry the full burden of the EA, and they finally offered to help us. They're paying, I know you saw some numbers earlier, but I think the numbers are $165,000 that the Forest Service is gonna pay. We're gonna pay $113,000. It's the start of fairness and working together as partners with the Forest Service. And we're gonna keep pitching at them that we maintain 60% of the miles that we maintain are in the Forest Service. And so now I'm gonna turn it over to Melanie, and she's gonna share with you the next couple of slides. Hello, Melanie.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Supervisor Humphrey. So here we have an update on the Townsite Act purchase. We were here earlier in the year to discuss the possibilities of purchasing this land. This land is adjacent to the Buckhead Mesa landfill. The Buckhead Mesa landfill operates on a special use permit and has for many years. And so we have the opportunity to purchase the land and then the adjacent land and some land up by the highway. This is a consolidated effort or a collaborative effort between General Services, Consolidated Roads with her funding, and then the landfill. So if you see to the right, it has the different costs for each contributor. And there's many benefits to this purchase. The essential uses of the land will be an expansion of the landfill and expansions of the material pits. The material pit will be used to provide ground cover for landfill and to provide gravel material for gravel roads in the northern region of Gila County. Gila County currently maintains approximately 500 miles of road in the Tonto National Forest. 439 miles are gravel road. Positive outcomes of this Townsite Act purchase would to allow Gila County to continue to provide strategically located solid waste services in that area, as well as source gravel material pits. We had an appraisal done last October, and the initial appraisal was about $1,800 per acre. With the environmental costs, that doubles it, so you're looking at $3,600 per acre. And so far, there's a 52-step process to this, and we're well on our way in that process. So we've submitted our official application to the Forest Service, and we're just waiting for application approval. Once that goes through, then it would start all the environmental assessments that are done.
We estimate that the process will be completed by September 2026. Then we would get to start on our landfill design. Of course, the other services that may be acquired, they would do what they're going to do at that time. We can't do anything until the purchase is done. And as we talked about before, you know, this is part of the planning that we've done for landfills. So the landfill in Payson should reach capacity in 2032. And as we're going, we should be looking for ADQ approval on the finished construction in 2028. So that would give us plenty of time to have a landfill ready to be filled by the time it meets capacity. So, any questions on that one?
Oh, thank you, Melanie.
I have, I have a question. That's a lot of acreage. And so if they do find artifacts there, is that something that will stop the sale of this, or then there'll be removal of the artifacts for us to continue, or just portions of that fenced off that we can't deal with? How's that gonna?
Yeah, so there's known archaeological sites there, and there's a mitigation factor, so we would mitigate those areas. There'd be some decisions made, and that's all part of the environmental process. When speaking to the forest department, they're pretty confident that all of them would be mitigated, and we may or may not have like a couple fenced areas, but it wouldn't impede our operation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Melanie.
So I also have the pleasure of speaking about the employee progression plan. So this is something that we were really excited and actually accomplished this year. We talked about it in the last board session. And again, Gila County Public Works strives to attract and retain qualified, skilled employees. And so we've not only have a progression plan for the vehicle and equipment technician, but also with the road maintenance and landfill. And this allows us to hire individuals without any training or a CDL, which is a commercial driver's license. And then they're able to progress through our training program and to move up within 2 years, as long as they get the trainings that are set up in the policies that we created. One of the interesting things I Googled is the tuition for UTI, which is a automotive school, is about $41,000. And that's not what we're paying on our end, but they are, so a trainee would make $31,200 to start, but they'd be basically getting that $41,000 of training on top of that. So I thought that was a really good thing to bring up. We're really excited and happy about this, and getting ready to do our first hiring on the new policy. So. Any questions about that one?
I have no questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I shared with you earlier, Melanie, that the folks that work for us are very excited about it.
Yes, they
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Couple more slides. And so we did meet with the folks that were here earlier, and we're gonna have a second meeting with them. I'll make sure that it's widely shared so that it'll be a Zoom type meeting. And hopefully there's ways that we can take advantage of what they have to offer without losing the uniqueness of our program and the immediacy of our program, because we, you know, yes, we talk about an apprenticeship program and things like that, but these folks are already, as they are trainees, they're already starting to contribute to what we do. They're actually working, doing something constructive while they're learning. And hopefully when they get to be a senior level, either an operator or a senior level technician, they'll be at the grade 290. At today's beginning wage for that level at $21.95. Hopefully we're rewarding them and they decide to stay with us for a career. So the next slide, there's two slides that I really like on this presentation. This is a personal opinion on my part. The first one was the model year. I'd like to share and think about how we should be behaving in the future with the revenues that we have. This one talks about the CDL status. Where are we? Somebody once told me it's not the output, but it's the outcome. This is the outcome of the progression plan. This is the outcome of us hiring folks without a CDL and bringing them in here and then getting them to have a CDL. The first one on the list, Tristan Smith from Young, has a CDL and got it in April. This week, we have 6 people testing. The column that says CDL test, we have 6 people testing for the CDL this week, tomorrow and the next day. 3 from Young, I think, and 3 from Payson, the Payson team. It'll be a success story if 4 out of the 6 pass. Actually, there's a lot of difficulty in passing. There's early learner driver training required. You take the online test, but there's a second test that you take before you get in the vehicle and drive, and that is a vehicle equipment safety test, where they walk you around the vehicle and they ask you all kinds of questions about what are the safety features associated with that vehicle. And this is something new, and they're being trained. Michael Wick, who is very involved in that, is training the folks, I believe, today. And hopefully all 6 of them pass this week. And we can bring them into the board meeting sometime in the future and celebrate that occasion, because it's what's going to keep us doing the things that we need to do. I can only imagine what it would be like if we had all 9 vacancies filled in our operators. And what we could do with the chip seal operation, we could actually leave a few folks behind to do some regular maintenance. And so we just need to fill those vacancies one way or the other. And this is a great step forward, and I'm happy to share this information with you. By the way, we have new folks. We have Wendy Boyce. I don't know if Wendy joined us as a project manager at Learning. She's also kind of like in a trainee program under the mentorship of Tom and Alex. And I'm sure she will learn everything that they have to share with her on project management and grading and drainage, and be an excellent employee for us in the future. But she's another example of a person that is under training. And here's a slide that talks about the training that many of the folks have completed in the last, I'm going to say 18 months. There's been a manager of landfill operations training. Darren, Melanie, Jasmine, and Joseph from the road yard team attended that. It's a week-long session. Alex Kendrick attended a week-long FEMA training back east, and actually came back and took his certified floodplain managers and test and passed. So he is now also, besides being a registered engineer, he's a certified floodplain manager as well. Melanie is a certified CPR trainer, recently took some training. And then we have a whole list of people from our team that was involved in sweepy training. I think that's a 3-day training or a number of day training. Tom, how many days is that? 3-day training, and they're qualified to do the stormwater pollution prevention that's required of all our road yards and our landfills. So a tremendous amount of training that's taking place, and it's not stopping here. This is just the beginning. So with that, I wanted to give us an opportunity to talk about the future of Public Works and any questions you may have as well.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, Homero. I just think the direction that we have taken has been a great direction, from chip sealing our own roads to replacing our equipment to working with our people in their educations, and not being able to hire people, but being able to get people without the training and train them ourselves. And so I think it's fantastic forward thinking as far as our roads and better taking care of our roads. And when it looks really bleak, now we're catching up on roads, doing them ourselves. We're able to do more roads, and looking to the future of doing our chip sealing and stuff just makes that maintenance get better. So thank you and your team and everybody working. I've seen a whole attitude change in our departments, and I thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Homero and Melanie. I've seen the attitude change too, the general public doesn't understand the magnitude of what it takes to maintain the roads and everything. And I really appreciate the proactive attitude that you're taking toward vehicle replacement and preparing for years to come with the landfills and paving and all the various things. Because that's one of the areas where we're probably most criticized. As far as, well, my dirt road hasn't been bladed. And so people need to look beyond that, just that superficial thing, and say, look, we're trying to do over 500 some miles of unpaved roads, and we're not going to be on it every single day, and we don't have the money to do that every single day. And if you live on a dirt road, then you need to understand you live on a dirt road. A lot of people, you know, they may take offense to that, but I mean, in reality, if you buy something on a dirt road, then you need to consider it probably being that way ever since God made it a dirt road. So we're trying to work on that. We're working toward that. You guys seem to be proactive and in front of it, and I really appreciate that. Other departments that we've heard from today are, because of the magnitude of what they're doing, they're behind the curve, and it's really hard to catch back up. And so I really appreciate you guys doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, oh my goodness. We're getting close to the end of the meeting. Call to the public. Is there anyone here in Globe or Payson or the internet that would like to respond to a call to the public?
No one in Payson.
Okay, all right. We're good to go. Let's move on to item number 4, which is a report from the county manager and the various supervisors. So, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, a couple items real quick that thank you for your guidance and direction as a Board of Supervisors in being able to do these things in Public Works and attempting to get caught up in some of our facilities and other things. It's because of your support, your direction, guidance that you give us as Gila County that we are moving forward, making progress, and looking out in the horizon, hopefully, that can take us to bigger things. So thank you for your support and all you do. Wanted to comment on the state budget, that it is still not, state budget is still not passed. Latest word is that the State House does not plan to reconvene until June 4th. The State Senate could come back, but they are not anticipating coming back for another floor session until June 12th. And so there are certain things out on the state budget that could impact the county. We're keeping an eye on those, but they are just not in session. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Supervisor Humphrey.
Not a whole lot. I did an interview with Channel 12 News last week on the bridge. I believe Channel 10 wants to do an interview tomorrow at 10:30 on the bridge. I was supposed to have a Gila meeting on Saturday, but they decided they were going to have a party at the facility, and so we're going to put that off for a little while. And I'll be on Kiko Open Line on Monday the 3rd at 9:30. And that's about all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to report on a lot, but yesterday was Memorial Day. It's the day that we remember those who died fighting for freedom in the world, freedom for our country. And we had a great ceremony in Payson for that, put on by the veterans and that group. And so it's very well attended, and we have a very patriotic county, and I appreciate that. So that's all I'm going to report. So if there is nothing else, then I will adjourn. Thank you.